Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Welcome to another launch attempt today, guys. I am really excited. As you guys know, hopefully this is one that we've been, really wanting to see happen. So this is the next launch attempt of the second New Glenn rocket. And for those of you unfamiliar, New Glenn is the super heavy lift rocket that Blue Origin is flying. So I just found out, like, literally right about as I was also sorry that you're probably seeing the little thing again still, the little words, trying to fix that still. But as you guys maybe know, they have been, they decided today they're not going to start streaming until T-minus 20 minutes. So I guess we get to hang out and answer questions because as you can tell by our clock here, we have 40 minutes. So that means we get 20 minutes to hang out and talk about what we saw at the last attempt, what we hope to see today. So remember, New Glenn is in a lot of ways even more capable than Falcon Heavy. So this is a heavy lift rocket with a reusable first stage. So they're going for a landing today of their orbital class booster. So it's a big deal because people, I think, they tend to associate, Blue Origin with, you can kind of see it back there, I have a New Shepard model right here, and these are not to scale, which is something that really bugs me, which is why we build our own scale model rockets that are all 1/100. But yeah, that is not to scale with any of the other ones. New Shepard is tiny. They could fit several New Shepards inside of the New Glenn payload bay, or you could fit an entire, at least the diameter, I think you'd kind of start scrunching. And anyway, you can fit an entire one inside the payload bay of New Glenn. That's how massive New Glenn is. New Glenn is 95 meters tall, so it's almost as tall as the Saturn V that took humans to the moon. So it's big, and I think people, like I said, kind of often associate Blue Origin with the suborbital tourism stuff, and they were kind of using that as as a test bed platform, a way to kind of make a little bit of money, maybe not even make money, but just offset some of the costs of learning how to operate a space program, how to operate a rocket, a reusable rocket that can land propulsively. So they got a lot of their demonstrations done on that New Shepard vehicle. And, they're still flying that. But this is a completely different beast. And I don't think, I've seen comments of people being like, hey, wait, I thought they were just, suborbital. It's like, they've been working on a monster rocket for a long time. Maybe you are familiar with, last year I went and did a tour of Blue Origin with Jeff Bezos. And it was pretty eye-opening for me. I mean, I knew objectively what they were working on, right? I mean, a lot of us probably are objectively familiar with most of the things that they were working on for New Glenn. But then to see it in person and to see the factory set up, to walk through it with Jeff was just a whole different level of like, holy crap, this thing is absolutely going to be a beast and basically a leapfrog of what we've seen, with. I like that they didn't aim for, kind of that middle of the road, a medium lift launcher. They went full on heavy, and I think that's pretty awesome. So let's answer some of your questions. So right away, Real Viami asks, do I have a pre-stream ritual? Absolutely not. The only thing I tend to do is grab some water because I always get thirsty when talking for a long time. Today is an extra caffeinated day, so I am drinking one of those little bubblers. Don't judge me. Actually, I think those are pretty, as far as the world of caffeine goes, not a lot of caffeine. Pretty mild. I don't like I can't have those energy drinks and stuff. That stuff, ugh. This is the closest thing to that. It's just a little bit of just a splash of caffeine. So this is from JS2365. Let's go, Blue Origin, and come back safety, dear booster. So that's going to be awesome. If they have a live stream, I mean, they have footage, and we see it in their last launch attempt the other day, that you can tell they have cameras and the ability to live stream from the booster. Now, whether or not they decide to show the landing attempt of the booster is anyone's guess. And whether or not the live stream, don't forget, SpaceX, it took them a long time. It took them, I don't know, I'll say almost 100 launches to be able to figure out how to, how to get the video to basically not cut out, right? Once the video, because once the rocket's coming back in for reentry and that final landing burn, its exhaust is just creating all sorts of, major disruptions as far as communications go. So it took them a long time to figure out how to be able to transmit safely using Starlink to actually be able to get that signal out. So has Blue Origin already, are they going to have that figured out for their first launch attempt, or are we going to see a big blackout for 10 seconds, and then all of a sudden, ta-da, there's a booster landing, and everyone's going to go, hey, they faked it. It's like, SpaceX had to do that about 100 times before they figured it out. So I think I would love to imagine that we'll actually be able to get a signal going. So we will see. Let's see here. So yeah, this is from Koi Joy Joe. Asking, can you explain the differences in capabilities in New Glenn compared to Falcon 9? I didn't realize New Glenn was bigger, and I thought their payloads were smaller. No. See, this is why, if only there was a YouTube video out there from like 5 years ago. Hang on. I made a video a long time ago, and it does show the scale of, okay, this is an old video, so you're going to laugh, but I'll show you the thumbnail here first. This is like this. So you'll see here, just old video. You can see here the scale of New Glenn. It's huge. It's, it's close. It's almost closer to Starship scale than it is like Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. Which I don't think everyone appreciates how massive this thing is. I'll click on this. I don't want an ad on my own video.
Hulu and ESPN.
This
and
is
right now you can get all three.
Not ideal. How do I? When what? Oh, I was like, what is happening? Okay.
Hi, it's me, Tim.
I don't even want audio on here. Period. You can see back in the day I did some engines, payloads. Where was it? So I'm trying to see. I'm curious if any of this has changed. 45 tons is still what they're quoting. And Falcon Heavy, it all depends on Falcon Heavy. What's confusing about Falcon Heavy is it can do so many different reusability modes. So you can have the dual booster landing RTLS. You can have dual boosters landing downrange. So I'll go from lowest performance to highest performance. You could actually do dual booster landing and center core landing, all RTLS. We've never seen that, but that would be an option. They can do a kind of the traditional. Then they could do dual booster landing and the center core landing downrange, which they never accomplished but should be able to. They kind of did, but then it tipped over at sea. Then they could do dual booster landing at RTLS, expend the center core. That's higher performing. Then they can do dual booster landing on drone ships downrange, expend the center core. Then they can do a fully expended Falcon Heavy. And so your payload capacity varies all over the place with Falcon Heavy, depending on the configuration, depending on how much hardware do you want to, ditch in the ocean, and or do you have the, the landing assets to be able to support multiple booster landings is the other consideration. So for the most part, though, it seems like we either see an expended Falcon Heavy because what was that just recently? Europa Clipper, we saw a fully expended Falcon Heavy just because they needed all of the oomph, all of the propellant, there's nothing left to give, but all of the propellant went towards that mission. So maximum, Delta V capabilities are C3. And with New Glenn, they're saying 45 tons to low Earth orbit out of landing the booster. So that's a lot. That's massive. And technically Falcon Heavy, if you expend the entire thing, they claim about 60 some tons, 65 tons. New Glenn, if you expend, is similar to that too. There haven't really been any talks of them really. I mean, at the end of the life, actually Jeff did mention at the end of the life they would consider getting rid of one if they had to, but they're talking about flying that thing, a lot, like the Falcon 9. So that's kind of the differences. It's physically huge, and the difference is it runs on totally different propellants compared to the Falcon 9. Falcon 9 is only Kerolox, so that's that's your kerosene or your RP1 and oxygen, and this runs on two propellants. It has two separate sets of propellants, It has methalox on the first stage, similar to Starship. So it's got liquid methane, liquid oxygen on the booster. And then the upper stage uses hydrogen or hydrolox. So it's liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, which is a very high performing upper stage. Hydrogen is just simply the best as far as specific impulse. You can get easily into the mid 400s with a pretty modest engine. ULA and specifically Rocketdyne ekes out like 464 seconds of specific impulse using the RL10B2 engine. You can get some really, really incredible performance. But what we see with with New Glenn's second stage is actually a tap-off bleed cycle. So it's not quite as efficient. I think it's around, I think I have the numbers somewhere, but I think it's around 450. Here, let me see. I actually do have it, right? Yeah. It's roughly 445. So definitely not quite as efficient as a set of RL10s, but it's higher thrust because they have to, RL10s use a closed cycle, or the closed bleed cycle, not bleed, oh my gosh, expander, there we go, closed expander cycle, and they're using the bleed expander cycle. So it allows them to be able to get a little bit more thrust out of those, which is good because that second stage is massive. So it all kind of works out for the better. So yeah, it's in Discord, someone's saying it's more similar to Vulcan than Starship. I don't think, I mean, scale-wise, it's literally similar scale because it's 7 meters wide. It's right between basically a Falcon 9 scale or a Vulcan scale and Starship. It's like it's in between those. So that, yeah. So I'll make sure and pay attention to when they do get the stream up too, by the way, so we can stay in. Aha, speaking of, they do have it up. Hey! Hang on. Sorry. Boom. All right, so we have about 10 more minutes of just answering questions and hanging out. I will go ahead and I'll put this up on screen anyway. Let's see. And they have a real countdown timer, so maybe I'll try and sync that properly. It is... I'll do that later. Let's answer more of your questions. Let's see. From this mechanic games 4305 says, have you seen the game Reentry? It's a space launch simulator. No, I have not. Oh wait, I think I've seen Scott Manley demo it a few years ago. If I remember right, I think I just saw that it might have actually come out with their first full Reentry, or first full version of it. In which case, that's awesome. We need more space simulators. Now that Kerbal's basically, done being a simulator, I am all for it. Let's see. From Con Bose Tepi, how much does a launch attempt cost Blue Origin? Is ground support and rocket costs? So we don't have those numbers. That's all internal. You do lose a good almost 50% of your propellant by the time you go, loading it onto a vehicle and offloading it. You lose a lot to boil off. We'll roughly say 50-60% is, you can save 50 to 60% of it. So you lose probably 40, I'd say between 30 and 50% to boil off. I don't have those exact numbers. So you're losing, a non-insignificant amount of propellant to boil off, which, whatever, that's just the cost of doing launches. I think the more expensive part is going to be the licensing, that all the people on console, all of the people, all the people that are on, working for security, just imagine how big the team is that actually has to support a massive rocket like this. It is huge. So I'm sure each launch attempt is at least $1 million. I have no idea. Especially these earlier campaigns where they have probably a lot more things, and eventually they probably would weed it down. I'm sure SpaceX's team to launch a Falcon 9 these days is a lot smaller than it was 7 years ago, right? I imagine that they have kind of streamlined it, gotten it down to be, okay, we kind of have this stuff all automated now. We don't need 35 people on console, would be my guess. But let's go to the next one here. Jebediah Kerman says, do you have a date on when you are going to release your new album? Also, loved Cryo. Well, thank you. I do not have a date yet. I actually am still hosting to a producer and an engineer here in Iowa. So we've been working for the last exactly a week now, every day basically from 10 a.m. till about midnight on trying to get these songs all finished and tweaked up and getting it ready. I'm doing it right this time. It'll be a real actual album and not just Tim in his bedroom making music. It is going to sound very good. There's going to be a re-release of Cryo called Cryogenic, so it's going to be a lot more similar to how I play it live. When we play music live, I have it all like synced to video and all this cool stuff, but it's just a lot different when we play it live. So it'll be closer to that reflection, which I'm obviously really excited about. Speaking of playing live, we did, I noticed a lot of you were listening last time. There was a lot of you that were paying attention because we did sell even more of especially the orbital tickets are going quickly for the Astro Awards, where I'll be playing music live. We'll have a lot of panels and keynotes. We'll have Scott Manley DJing. Scott Manley will be on a bunch of panels and stuff as well. Joe Barnard, Zyla Foxland, a few other people as well. So Eric Berger, Lori Garver, a lot of cool people will be there to talk and stuff. And then, as always, we'll be handing out awards to the coolest missions of this year. So definitely let me know what you think the biggest missions of 2025 were. I always like to hear from you guys, and we kind of will be putting together a group and talking about it a lot in Discord as to who we think deserves the top spots of the year. So that's always something to really look forward to. So Austin, Texas, January 17th and 18th, if you're available. Get yourself there. We will be trying to live stream the actual ceremony part. So the actual award ceremony, we will be live streaming that for you. We understand that not everyone has the ability to travel to Austin, Texas in the middle of the U.S. In the middle of January. I completely understand. So that's why we're trying to be able to stream it this year, and that should be great. So Austin, Texas, January 17th and 18th. Get your tickets to astroawards.live. All right. So, let's see here. What happened to the G4 solar storm? I mean, I think it's just the sun's moving relative to us, and the storm is dying down. It's basically solar activity is just a hot pocket of the sun that's, as it's rotating, it just all of a sudden will be blasting you. And we were just right in the path of a pretty intense solar activity here quite recently. So, yeah. Let's see. Let me keep answering a few more. I see a question in Discord. If that makes it into the queue here, I'll try and answer that on air too. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I saw Fender. There's a lot of guitars in the background here. We have a smorgasbord. This is the other half of my life is actually music, and I just feel like I haven't really, ever since Everyday Astronaut started, I haven't had time to do it like I used to do it when I was younger. So it's been a lot of fun. Let's see here. Oh, there's a friend from Franco is Ranky7741. Hi, Tim. I'm a very happy Nebula user and have been loving your content there. Did Joe convince you to go there, or did you decide yourself? Both. Joe's talked about it forever. I'm friends with Brian McManus as well from Real Engineering. And I've always wanted... The thing is, for me, YouTube has changed a lot. I feel like it's harder and harder now to be trying to make the content that I make and have people still see it. I've seen just such a decrease in numbers, and I feel like the algorithm's just driving everything. So if you're not doing everything to please the algorithm, your core audience won't even see your videos anymore. And that's really upsetting to me. So I'm trying to just not have all my eggs in one basket. And I feel like Nebula seems to still kind of have those core values that I believe in of we're not going to be completely, algorithm focused. It's still curated, and people put a lot of high effort, high quality content on there. So that's what I've been looking for. And so yeah, I joined them finally. It's just been a matter of we had to go back and re-edit some videos so they didn't have all the ads and stuff in it, or the reading at the end. And that took a little while to do. So let's see here. We're getting close. We're 3 minutes away. We got a few more minutes to answer a few more questions. Will they try and land the booster today? Yes. Assuming it makes it that far. I really hope they do. They took a decent amount of time. It's not an unusual amount of time between Flight 1 and Flight 2 for a first flight to a second flight. But it really sounds like, they kind of took the time to try to do it right. So they will have hopefully figured out all of the things that plagued the first booster from being able to land, including mostly engine relight for reentry, is where it failed the first time. So as long as it makes it through that, if it can safely fly itself down to the booster, to the barge, That will be amazing. Can't wait for that. I'm just so excited that today is these launch attempts are during the day. Last time was a night launch. Just wasn't, that also made me sad about SLS, that the first launch of SLS was a night launch. I want day launches. I think day launches for first vehicles it's so much cooler that way. It's so much cooler. Let's see here. Mr. Allantist. So Tim, are bigger engines and less engines going to be a better strategy? So they're not, they're physically larger. Let's see, but they're actually about the same amount of thrust as the Raptor engines. That does kind of give you a sense of, there's 33 engines on Super Heavy. That gives you a sense of how big and how massive Starship is compared to New Glenn. So they're technically larger, but they're actually producing the same amount of thrust. And it's closer to, Falcon 9 has 9 engines on the booster. New Glenn has 7 engines on the booster. There's potentially a bit of a bathtub curve of few engines, you have less chances of failure, but a failure of the engine, if you have one engine like an Atlas V, if you have one engine, that engine fails, your mission is absolutely toast. However, you have less, potentially the engine shouldn't fail because you can kind of focus all your attention on that, make sure it doesn't fail. High reliability on one engine means high reliability for the mission. Now, if you have 100 engines, you have a decent chance of one of those 100 engines having an issue. But nowadays, with modern, with modern electronics and computers and stuff, they tend to really have these engines super well characterized, so they can sense if something's wrong with the engine very quickly and shut it down before something catastrophic happens. There's not often, there's actually a few tell signs, a leak or some kind of pressure drop or something that normally then leads to a failure. So if you can shut the engine down before there's a failure, and typically just by removing, you typically want to remove the oxidizer first, because then you don't end up with fuel, an oxidizer-rich scenario that could melt the engine and cause other problems. So cut the oxygen supply to it, then cut the fuel, and shut it down imminently. And that tends to be, we've seen that with Starship quite a bit, where Starship will be, it'll be flying, have an engine shut down. It'll be obviously the first. Okay, they are streaming. Whoa, that was a wild. Hang on.
For the first time, it is an exciting day for the more than 10,000 employees here at Blue Origin.
Ourselves included, I'm Tabitha Lipkin.
And my name is Orion Cornell.
And this is NG2.
The human need to explore is deep within all of us. Our ancestors crossed mountain ranges.
Hang on, the music is probably gonna. I did already have a copyright strike from the last one, so I'm trying to avoid that this time. Hang on, let me see if I can get these stupid bars to go away.
While always looking to the stars, we're curious.
There we go.
And now we're at a place where we can pioneer new horizons.
Oh wait, yeah, the music. Hype video though, always appreciate a good hype video. Sorry if that kind of reset the stuff. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I'm glad to see they're actually streaming, and hopefully we'll get their countdown clock going here soon so I can sync it up. We can listen in. I do like that it's only T-minus 20 minutes, because that just means we won't have to go through so many of those start stops. Hey, that's me! I missed it last time. Someone did mention that I was in there. Wow, I'm actually in there. That's pretty cool. Now I'm biased, and now I like this even more. Oh man. So is New Glenn? If New Glenn is allowed to launch here, why not Starship? Starship is working on launching from the Cape. They just haven't had a pad yet. It's not been a permissions thing per se. It's just been the vehicle's not ready. They're doing all that early testing at Starbase. So let's listen in.
Hey friends, once again, I'm Tabitha Lipkin with Orion Cornell. Now Sunday, we had to scrub due to weather, but today we are back with you and ready to see New Glenn take to the skies.
Yes, Tabitha. So today's launch window is going to open at 2:57 p.m. Eastern Time and conclude about 90 minutes later, plus or minus, at 4:25 p.m.
Now right now, let's take you out to a live look at New Glenn on the pad at Launch Complex 36.
Oh, rocket's looking beautiful.
Stunning.
Beautiful day to launch. A little bit different than our weather on Sunday when we tried. Now, for today's launch, NG2, we have two goals, two objectives. First is to safely deploy the payload, which is NASA's ESCAPADE, which is heading out on a mission to Mars.
And the second is to land the booster for the first time. Now, if we don't land the booster, that's okay. We have several vehicles already in production right behind us. But now we're hearing it's about time for that go, no-go poll. So let's toss it over to the rocket and listen in.
Sweet. We're cruising along.
OSM.
OSM is go.
RC.
RC is go.
ESR.
ESR go.
AC.
AC is go.
Recovery.
Recovery is go.
PLI.
PLI is go.
BMD.
BMD is go.
GC, LC1, LC2 initiate final configurations for terminal count. Report when ready for pre-terminal count gate checks.
GC cut.
LC2 copies.
LC1 copy. LC1 ready.
I like that. Ready is always a good thing.
All right, you heard it there. We are go for terminal count. You heard Launch Director Megan Lewis, and she's been a great asset, of course, to our team. And I know we are all so excited in these final moments. So let's bring in our third member of our Blue Origin team, Eddie Seyfert. Eddie, you were standing by with employees here at Rocket Park. What's the vibe? Oh, well, yeah, I can already hear what the vibe is at that viewing party.
Hey, Tabitha, hey, Ariane. We're so here. We're so happy to be here. Rocket Park is go.
NG2, NG2.
That's right, NG2. That's
I
right.
love
Let's
it.
go Blue.
Eddie,
ESCAPADE.
what kind-
ESCAPADE. Yes, tell me.
What kind of view do you have? Where's the rocket with respect to where you are right now?
Rocket is downrange 9 miles. It's a clear, sunny day in Florida. We've got a great view, and we're very excited to be here.
So just for context here, they are standing on top of the factory, which is right outside. If you've ever been to Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, it's basically out of the new visitor entrance right there. You can't miss it if you're driving to Kennedy Space Center now. Blue Origin's giant factory is just right there. So they're standing on top of that, which would be actually a heck of a view because yeah, they said they're 9 miles. They're about 15 kilometers away from the launch today. So that'll be a really good view. I think the coolest view especially for the general public by far is if you're in Cape Canaveral and you're on the beach. You can literally just look up north anywhere from Jetty Park all the way down. I mean, all the way down to Cocoa Beach. When you're looking up the beach, all you see basically is at the end of the Cape there. You see this launch complex, LC-36. It's massive. It's so much bigger than all the other pads out there because it's a huge rocket. But they also did it right. They did a huge, massive infrastructure. They have I've heard claims of it being the largest or at least tallest water tower ever built. They also have these huge lightning arresting towers, massive strongback, massive horizontal integration facility. It's hard to miss if you're actually on the beach out there in Florida. You look north, that's all you're going to see. So, all right, we gotta let's see if okay, this doesn't have audio or music, so let's listen.
Increase our production rate both for our B4 engines, 3U engines and 7 engines. So we roughly doubled our production rate from last year.
Wow.
For B4, something like almost tripled it for B3U. And then going into next year, we're looking to continue to increase that production rate.
We have a Blue Moon Mark 1 mission coming up here soon. What are you?
Oh, great. There's technically music underneath this. Here comes another copyright strike for me. So they're talking about, their engines, which is amazing because I think that's what gets me excited is rocket engines. But they're talking specifically about this engine, the BE-7, which is their lunar lander engine, which is a really interesting engine because it's an expander, but it's a dual expander. So they actually use the latent heat from the engine to boil off and spin the turbines from both the oxygen and the hydrogen. Normally you just use hydrogen. Almost every engine I'm ever familiar with is a single expander type, and it uses just hydrogen, which it's actually a really good at that. Oxygen isn't as good, but if you have oxygen flowing through the system, you might as well use it to be able to help spin the pumps as well. So that's something that I always think is cool. It's just when you kind of see a new philosophy be used. Their human lander version is supposed to have 3 of those engines. Now, the one thing that I'm curious about, it's a pretty massive. It's like 45 tons fully fueled, and it'll probably burn through about 10 or 15 tons. So it'll still be almost 30 or like 25 or 30 tons landed on the surface of the moon, which is a lot more than when the lunar lander landed, the Apollo lunar lander. It was only about 5 tons that actually touched down on the moon. Most of the propellant on the descent stage was already burnt through. So it's a lot. I mean, we're talking 5-ish times the amount of mass. So that means 5 times the amount of thrust coming out of those engines, still really close to the ground. So that's something that I'm curious how that's going to work. Will that plume disrupt the ground a lot? Will it not? Hey, dang. Okay. Hype is real because we are within 11 minutes. Okay, let me listen in now.
Moment, as we said, we want to take these 2 payloads to space so that they go on their way to Mars. But we want to see today, we've been working on this a long time, the first stage of that rocket come down to land for the first time ever.
That's what we're here for. And we're also so excited to see ESCAPADE launch and learn so much more about Mars. But right now, let's actually take a moment to talk about New Glenn's flight profile. So take a look on your screen and follow along with us. First, we have 7 BE-4 engines that will lift New Glenn off the pad with 3.8 million pounds of thrust.
So then New Glenn will eventually go supersonic, and right at about 40,000 feet or 12 kilometers up, New Glenn is going to reach what's called max Q, or maximum dynamic pressure. This is when the stress on the vehicle is at its highest. So if we punch through that, we're feeling pretty good about this launch. At about 3 minutes into flight, the engines are going to turn off, marking the end of the boost phase, and the reusable first stage is going to begin its journey back to Earth.
Right, the booster will reorient itself using the reaction control system. There will be a reentry burn, and then the autonomous system will guide the booster back. And finally, there is going to be a landing burn, landing the booster on the Jacklyn that right now is out at sea about 375 miles offshore.
So that's the first stage, but separately, we've got the second stage that has separated, obviously, from the booster. At that point, the 2 BE-3Us, Blue Engine 3U, U for upper stage engines, are going to propel the payload into orbit. At about 400,000 feet or 120 kilometers up, the fairings, it's kind of like the shroud on the top of the rocket that's protecting the payloads, they're going to jettison off. They're going to fall off. The payload at that point, ESCAPADE.
Are they still playing music in the background? I think they are. Which, I mean, it kind of fits. I'm just like, oh, copyright strikes.
The second stage from the first stage, and after it's had 2 burns to where we deploy the 2 satellites.
And ESCAPADE is really a pair of satellites, and they're going to technically deploy 30 seconds apart. And then at about 38 minutes into flight, that's when our Viasat tech demonstration will turn on. So there's a lot of great things and a lot of exciting things happening today with NG2. There it is on the pad. The booster, so appropriately named, Never Tell Me the Odds. And Ariane, earlier, I kind of misspoke. I said we're ready for terminal count. I'm ready for terminal count.
You're so excited. You're like, let's fast forward here.
The energy is so good. That is coming up shortly at about the T-4 minute mark. But right now, we're at L-8 minutes and 45 seconds. And we know we have a lot of people who are looking to the skies today. And this is obviously one of my favorite parts of a rocket launch. It's actually watching the rocket launch. So let's dive into where you can see New Glenn across the skies.
This is cool.
We've got a cool graphic.
Now, if this was nighttime, you'd have a lot better odds of seeing it. I mean, it's going to be really hard during the day to see a vehicle that's, 70 or 95 meters tall, 7 meters wide. 320 feet and, 27 feet wide or whatever it is. No, not 27 feet, whatever it is. It's going to be really hard to see that from these distances from during the day. Now, at night, though, when you can see the exhaust glowing, that's when it's a lot easier to see this kind of stuff. Now, I did want to point out, we did have a really good question. Where did it go? So, a question from then RZ. What do you think was the engineering reason for New Glenn to use so few engines compared to the competition? Is the loss of redundancy a concern? Back in the day, I mean, it basically comes down to, at some point, they probably got, you know, the specifications for how much thrust are those engines producing and how much can you realistically, you know, fit inside of a reasonable diameter. And 7 meters just kind of makes sense at this scale. So if they had an 8 meter wide diameter or something like that, maybe then you could fit 9 in. But it's just a matter of like how big are these engines? Those engines are kind of a fixed constraint for Blue Origin. You're not really going to change those dimensions drastically at this point. So how many can you fit within? You know, it's sort of just all a design compromise. And if you think about it, you can go either way. 7 engines means less engines to have failures, but you know, if you do have a failure, can you still recover from it? And the likely answer is hopefully yes. It definitely depends on which ones though, because don't forget with this rocket, what's interesting is only 3 of the engines actually gimbal. Only 3 engines can actually steer the rocket out of the 7. So there's 4 that are fixed, and then 3 in a row that can gimbal. And that's, I think that's actually really clever because you don't need all 7 of those to move. But if you did lose one of the gimbling engines, that could be a little bit more of a concern. So, yeah. Treetop Pete in our Discord asks, why did the mission control pool call for TLI in a Mars mission? Isn't TLI translunar injection? Yes, that's literally what made my ears kind of go, wait a minute, a TLI? I'm assuming it stands for something else in their case. I don't think they're saying translunar injection, although, no, it still wouldn't be translunar. Because don't forget, it's actually going to be parking in a Lagrange point for this mission. They are not sending this all the way to Mars yet. They're going to park it in a Lagrange point, and then the ESCAPADE payload is built by Rocket Lab. Those have their own propulsion, and they'll do their actual fly out to Mars from the Lagrange point. So pretty exciting because it's kind of a cool way to be able to launch whenever they want and park it. I do want to point out these camera views. I feel like they got better cameras since Tuesday or whenever it was, Monday. I don't know why I feel that way, but we didn't have these kind of views the other day. So I'm very happy because this gives you a little bit more sense of a scale. The transporter erector that you see in the background, that dark thing, is just so massive, you know, because it does take the rocket from horizontal. It has to stand it up vertically. It is huge. When you see, oh, look at the planes flying behind, way in the background. That was trippy. But yeah, now you get a good sense of the rocket there. That transporter erector, when you see someone, like, watch the video of me on the launch pad with Jeff Bezos, and when we walk up to this, it gave me a sense of, like, for me, it kind of gave me a sense of the old N1 transporter from the Soviet Union. They had this massive thing that just took it and, you know, tipped it over from horizontal to vertical. And walking up to this thing, I was like, this is huge. It's so much bigger than it looks in these pictures. When you see a person walking next to it and it takes you 2 minutes to walk down the length of it or whatever, you're like, okay, this is crazy. So give that a watch if you haven't already seen my tours with Bezos that I did last year. Pretty cool in my opinion. I mean, I'm obviously very excited to see this thing fly again. It flew earlier this year, but again, daytime launch. You can't not be excited about that. And I should mention too, by the way, we do still have this view. So let me point out that the pointy end of the rocket, according to my rocket orientation skills, is up. Flaming end is down.
359.
TCS active.
AFSA safety timer started.
AFSS safety timer started.
Talking's a good thing, I think, as long as the clock's still running, which it is. It's a cool looking rocket. I like that they left those thermal blankets like around the fins there.
News for you. We are in terminal count. They did the final go, no go poll. New Glenn is ready to launch, and we've transitioned into that terminal count. Now, from here on out, you'll be hearing from our flight ops, Patrick Moore.
And from here, the vehicle is also running fully autonomously on software. So our engineers are hands off. They've got their eyes on their screens, but the rocket is in control of itself at the moment.
Yeah, right now they're continuing to condition the propellants on the second stage using chilled helium. You can tell the rocket is nice and cool. And this will continue for another minute or so and helps prep the liquid oxygen and liquid nitrogen that powers the BE-3Us.
Oh, liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. Sorry, that is for the upper stage.
That's right.
And then also on the first stage, we've got. Oh, hold on a second. There's Kent. Hello, Kent. They're ready for a rocket launch here at T-minus 2 minutes to go to launch. One interesting thing to watch here. A couple of things. One is that the 7 engines start in a stagger start. So we've got 3 of the engines that'll start, and then the other 4 engines that start just a second later. We want to make sure that we don't jostle the rocket or jostle the infrastructure too much. The other thing, the thing that you will visibly be able to see that we are go is when we start that big water. You see the big water tower on your left?
That's right.
We are going to flood the base of the launch pad with the water. It helps dampen the vibrations and the heat. Because, again, we want to make sure that we protect the launch pad, but also the rocket itself here.
And a huge shout out, of course, to Van Horn, to Kent, to Huntsville, Alabama, and our friends here at Rocket Park. We are now, I have gotten the notification, we are on internal power. This is so exciting, Ariane. This is the moment. So that means we've transitioned from ground power to the vehicle's own internal power. We're getting really close here.
Holy crap. All right. Within T-minus 1 minute.
T-minus 1 minute.
T-minus 60 seconds. Range green. AFSS flight enabled.
Yes. If this thing lands today, it's going to be hard to not give this a consideration for one of the top Astro Awards. So let me know what you think about that and come see in person as we give an award to this team. If they land this booster, even if they fly successfully today, that's going to be good. Here we go. Let's listen in.
Big water. Let's turn it back over to mission control. Let's light this candle. Go, New Glenn.
T-minus 30
Can't wait
seconds.
to tell me the odds.
Can't wait to see this booster back on Earth.
GS1 hydraulics internal. GS1 at flight level. GS2 at flight level.
These are all good call-outs. Hold.
Hold.
That's in a hold. Okay, something must have triggered.
All right, as we've seen here, our team has decided to go into a hold at T-minus 20 seconds.
It's just a single hold, though. Notice they didn't say hold, 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 which typically a hold, 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 if you watch my latest video, does mean a scrub for the day. They might just be resetting something. They'll likely go back into the top of the terminal count at T-minus 4 minutes.
Complete.
I feel like we got a lot of new rocket watchers if you're all this surprised by a hold.
Thank you again, everybody. If you're just joining us, we are awaiting here NG2, the second mission of New Glenn. We're at T-minus 20 seconds. Our team has decided to enter a hold here. We've said it on other webcasts before. We spend years designing this rocket, months building it, months designing the missions. If we need a couple of minutes to make sure that the rocket is ready, that our team is ready, that everything on the range is ready.
That's right.
Then we will take that time.
Yep.
At this moment in time, I do have a statement that says that terminal count abort. The team is currently investigating. Right now, you've got to look inside of GS2. You can see our twin satellites. I believe that's ESCAPADE, correct?
That is ESCAPADE. They're ready for its launch to space, to Mars. It's going to have to wait just a couple more minutes here, obviously.
So, again, like what I was kind of inferring there is this is pretty normal. Again, this is only the second launch of a rocket. I mean, a lot of companies had teething pains like this, including, Rocket Lab, SpaceX. Watch any of the earlier Falcon missions, and they were known as ScrubX for a while. It's likely the vehicle triggered an automatic abort at that point. And, they'll look into it and try to figure out, like, what was the reason for that. So, I'll be watching, and we'll be seeing if they can get this thing out of the hold and if they can address the issues. If not, there's always a chance that they go, crap, we actually have something wrong. But it sounded like all the call-outs were good up until then. So I wonder, sometimes it can literally be like you can set a threshold of like, if this goes more than, you know, I'm just making something up, 5 bar on this one fuel line, then we have to abort. And sometimes they can say, all right, well, that's a very conservative bound. In order to get this thing off the pad, let's raise that to 5.5 because it might just be barely like, you know, right there. I'm making something up, but it's...
We are at T-minus 20 seconds. We are currently in a hold because we had a terminal count abort. Our team, like I said, is currently investigating. So while everything is getting sorted out, we're going to toss it back over to NG2 on the pad and give you more information as it becomes available to us.
Okay. Good chance then to just hang out and we will see. I'll answer a few more of your questions. So this is from Ian Jane. I don't probably mispronounced that. 125, planning for a Rocket Lab tour. Yes, I have done a Rocket Lab tour, but way back in 2018. So I have talked. We've been in contact about doing something when Neutron gets closer to flying, which I think would be the right time to be able to do something. I think that'd be pretty awesome. So let's see here. This is from Coy Joy Joe. What superpower would you have? And would it be heat proof so you can stand with your face in a rocket nozzle while it launches? I haven't thought about that. I mean, I feel like you're heat proof, you're basically just invincible. Man, that's a good question. I don't know what I'd go for. We got music going, so I'm gonna duck that out there. Either that or just flying. I mean, can you go wrong with just being able to just fly around? That'd be incredible. Let's see here. From Alown00, do you know what's the mission? Are they planning to reach Mars or are they just testing the rocket? So this is a mission. These spacecraft will go to Mars. And the mission's called ESCAPADE. There's 2 satellites built by Rocket Lab. And this is a NASA mission. So this is NASA, paid, I think, a little less than $100 million for this entire mission, which is actually really cheap for a mission, for an interplanetary mission. And these will be Mars orbiters. Now, what New Glenn will be doing is New Glenn will just be taking these 2 small spacecraft and basically having them park in what's known as a Lagrange point. That's a balancing point of gravity between the Earth and the Sun. And they'll sit there and they will, oh yes, see, that's the view I want to see. That's the view of the booster, and hopefully the view holds up when the booster is trying to land on it, and hopefully the booster does land on it. That will be incredible. But yeah, they'll park in the Lagrange point, and then they'll wait for Mars to be in a better alignment, because right now we're really out of alignment with Mars as far as the transfer window. So we're actually almost in the worst possible place, so it'll loiter around for a while before they do their own injection then. But the vehicles, this is a completely operational mission for NASA, which is very exciting. Let's see. From Arrow Eagle, with Cape Canaveral Space Force Station having launch providers having to land their boosters at their launch sites, see the slow closures of LZ1 and LZ2. Where would Blue Origin land at? I've seen the plans for Stoke and Relativity, and I don't know where they'd land theirs back on land. I don't think Blue Origin has any plans to land on land. I don't think I've ever really seen an RTLS plan for New Glenn. And I don't know the exact reason for that. Look at all the ice breaking out, by the way. That is a cool shot. I don't know the exact reason for that, but I think it might just be because this thing is optimized to land downrange. They have the barge downrange, and at least for the foreseeable future, it will land downrange on this barge. So that's my best guess. I don't actually know for sure. Let's see, William NL. If Dear Moon was restarted and they asked you again, would you sign up for it? If I to be completely frank, I'll be honest and direct. If it was with a different leader, like if there's someone that was better communication, because we didn't even know that there is the out that Yusaku Maezawa had. We didn't know there's the out built into his contract. So had I known that he could have backed out at the end of 2020, basically December 31st, 2023, there's no way I would have signed that contract. And there's no way I would have even wanted to be associated with that mission, because I would have said that is stupid. No one's flying on Starship. by now, by that time. You know, I was telling the crew late 20s. You know, I was like 28, 27, 28, 29, 30. You know, I'm like, I don't know, no rush, you know, when it's done. You know, my mantra for my videos is when it's done. So if there's someone that's just in better communication, you know, like a Jared Isaacman or someone that had just more transparency and not as much go fever about it, then I probably would. I still thought that'd be a really cool mission. I didn't love the idea of a full launch and re-entry with Starship. I would have preferred to launch on Dragon. And that's where I was hoping the mission architecture would have taken us. It would have been do like 2 launches on Dragon for the large crew, get that up to a Starship, have Starship re-enter, do a light re-entry, not a full re-entry. You just bleed off 3 kilometers per second from translunar injection with like a, you know, maybe a 2-stage re-entry profile with aero braking, and then meet back up with Dragon. That would have been probably my preferred re-entry versus having to, you know, ride an entire Starship into. Because I wouldn't have loved the idea of having no abort system. Yeah, that still would scare me. This is from Aero Eagle. Would you rather ride New Shepard or Virgin Galactic? So Blue Origin's New Shepard or Virgin Galactic's Spaceship 2, technically would be the way to put it. I would definitely, for myself, I'd prefer New Shepard. Again, it has a launch abort system. It has parachutes. It has a few things that make it just a little bit, in my mind, a little bit safer. It's completely autonomous. As cool as it is that Virgin Galactic like physically pilots with like cables a spaceship, I think that's pretty cool. I just don't think that's the safest option. But yeah, for me, it'd be Blue Origin. Let's see. Can you compare the BE-4 to Raptor 3? So Raptor 3 will now, let me just confirm. Let's see here. It's darn close, but I want to make sure I'm not quoting the wrong thing. So Raptor 3 is surpassing it now in thrust. At it's about 275 tons of thrust versus 24 or 240 tons of thrust. Sorry, I'm trying to do the conversions in my head. The pounds, I'll just do pounds because they're both quoted here in pounds. 550,000 pounds for BE-4 versus 617,000 pounds for Raptor 3. The Raptor 3 is quite a bit more efficient because of the full flow stage combustion cycle. So it gets, you know, around 330 at sea level. BE-4 probably more like 315 at sea level. Some of those numbers aren't identical, but the big thing is that Raptor 3 is about half the mass, which is wild. Oh, listen.
Watching the webcast for NG2. Right now, our team is investigating, and we are expecting them to reset the clock. But in this moment, since we have a little bit of time, Ariane, I would like to take our focus and talk a little bit more about ESCAPADE and how it's going to help scientists learn more about the atmosphere on Mars.
Our friends over at NASA put together this great explainer on the importance of ESCAPADE. Let's take a look.
Okay, this one has music. But I like this one because I think it's closed captioned. Maybe not. But basically, they're sending 2 Mars orbiters to Mars to be able to look and investigate the atmosphere and the magnetosphere of Mars. Escape and plasma acceleration and dynamics explorers. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. Let's go back to your questions, though. So, yeah, that's kind of comparing BE-4 to Raptor 3. So this is, it's funny that Alex and Dr. Podjevich says, or Podjev, sorry. My suggestion for the Why Don't They Just series is why don't you use a ramjet scramjet on the first stage? That was literally supposed to be in there. The original Why Don't They Just about like assist rockets was like, why don't you launch from mountains? And then why don't you launch using air launch? And why don't you use scramjets? And why don't you like throw the rocket off the ground? It's like one thing, and it got to be like, it was going to be 2 hours long, and I was like, okay, I gotta actually break this video up. I tend to do that too often. It's like yeah. So that being said, that was part of the original thing, was like kind of ramjets and scramjets and just even jet engines on the first stage. And the reality is just that there's such a small window in which they're actually useful, and you don't want to be flying through the atmosphere with a rocket. So, I mean, you could say you could change your profile, but then you end up dealing with such high heat loads the longer you're flying through the atmosphere horizontally. You know, now you're experiencing, you know, now you're having to beef up the vehicle to be able to handle high heat, because even at, you know, Mach 3, Mach 4, Mach 5, the heating on a vehicle is quite extreme. And it's a scramjet and things like that, ramjets, would be great at sustained high speeds if you're trying to get from point A to point B as quickly as you can. But if you're trying to accelerate and continually accelerate, you quickly run outside of that window. You really quickly run outside of the operational window of any kind of air-breathing engine, right? And if the idea is to keep accelerating and getting up to those high speeds, those, you know, 17,500 miles an hour, 28,000 kilometers an hour, you need to be accelerating. You can't just sit there at Mach 5 and be like, okay, we're at Mach 5, you know? It's like, what's the next step? And the more time you loiter, the more time your propellant's boiling off. I mean, it's just, oh, that's a cool shot. That's a good use of the blend. I'll listen in here because I still want to see if they have an update on it.
There right now, earlier this week, obviously we had a couple of solar, some solar flares.
That's right.
That came off of the sun, what we call coronal mass ejections, and it has just, we had to play it extra safe for our customers because it can, essentially, if you don't do it right, it can fry the electronics on the satellites, right? So if we had launched, and we were prepared to launch, if we had launched, but then put the satellites up there and then it can't deploy its solar arrays, the computers don't turn on, you can't just go up there and pick up the satellite and repair them. Like, that's why those two beautiful satellites called Blue and Gold, after the UC Berkeley colors.
I want to point out above the satellite on the right, you can kind of see a little bit of pulsing in the foil there. That's likely because there's actually literally like a pipe, an air conditioning pipe, piping clean air, we'll call it, that's not humid. You know, they're trying to make sure it's properly conditioned environmentally. You can see that at the very top of the transporter erector up here. I don't know if you can see my mouse. I think you can. But way up there, that last hose is there to just literally condition the air so that the payloads inside the fairing are kept in good, good temperature, good humidity levels. And it looks like you can kind of see that foil moving, likely because it's just kind of in a place where the conditioning system is kind of actually physically blowing in that direction. I thought that was fun. I like kind of seeing that little bit of stuff, and I don't know. I like that nerdy kind of stuff. McCarthy MB asks, which direction will it head at liftoff? South or east? South, east? ? It's almost completely due east. So it's, because they're putting it into a Lagrange point further, the more east you go, the more you get rotational energy from the Earth. And you don't need to do like an inclination change or anything. So they're flying basically due east. Let's see. GoCard16 asks, what is the percentage you believe it'll land successfully? Man, landing for me, I'm above 50-50. I think the Blue Origin knows how to propulsively land. They've worked on this for a while. They learned a lot from the first flight. They've done, even when they did the static fire engine test, when they fired the booster up just 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. For that, they even did, throttle ramping and all that kind of stuff that's important for booster landing. So I feel pretty good about it. I really, really hope. Oh, we actually have a countdown clock again. Let me get mine synced up. So T minus 31 minutes. What's that actually going to be in human time? Let me see. Here, my friends. So it currently is showing its hold in next space flight. 31 minutes from now would be, okay, that's going to be hard to do. 31 would be, that's just 45. Okay, so 2045. Sorry, I'm having to do mental math, which is always fun to do while you're on a camera with a bunch of people watching you. Wait, is that right? 1545. Yeah, so 20. Oops. What did I just do? 2045-ish. We'll start there and see if that's correct. 31. Hey, I was close. And mine is just a little bit ahead, so 47, 3, 31, dead. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'll get there. I promise. I think I promise. Ah, crap. I just messed up. There we go. There we go. Okay, there you go. Now my clock reflects the proper countdown clock. All right, T-minus 30 minutes. So that's not bad. We can do this, guys. We can hang out for 30 minutes. That's not a big deal. I appreciate you guys watching with me. This is fun for me. I really like newer missions like this that are first launches and first milestones are always exciting to see. So like I said, if this thing lands, this is your reminder. You guys better get your tickets to the Astro Awards ready to go. January 17th and January 18th, Austin, Texas, my friends. I hope that we see you there, and hopefully we'll see. I don't know who's gonna win. Really, we'll have to, we'll bring it to the community to see what missions they thought were the best missions of the year, and we'll get those people up on stage and we'll give them awards. And hopefully you guys will be there. January 17th, January 18th, Austin, Texas. Lots of panels, keynotes, parties, meet and greets, dinner opportunities. Lots of fun stuff. It's just been an incredible thing. So if those of you that have been there, let us know if you've been there in person. To one of the previous Astro Awards. Everyone that I've ever talked to says that they can't wait for the next one. So it's been a very highly anticipated and appreciated thing. So I hope to see you guys there, because it is a big event and we put a lot of effort and energy into making it possible. So it is fun to see you guys there. You guys did see a little sneak peek of a logic file. I suppose while we're waiting, I can show you one little itty bitty in progress edit of there's a song that you guys wanted me to release forever ago, and it was it's called Slow Orbit, and it's been used in for Rocket Lab. They use it in their launch campaigns, and people were always like, hey, why don't you publish Slow Orbit? And it's like, it just always felt like it was never done. So this is, I'll give you a little mini itty bitty sneak peek of we tracked real drums, so it's always fun to actually have real drums. And it was really fun. So here's your little sneak peek, because you're watching a live stream with me. And yeah, you might recognize this, but it's also going to be quite different. Oh, great. That's not going to go out the desktop audio. Well, I don't know how to make that work. Great. You guys can't even hear anything. So maybe, never mind. Maybe I don't know how to do this actually right now. Output device. What if I go like out multi-out? Maybe this will work. Give me a second. What else do we have to do? We got 30 whole minutes. I mean, obviously, I'll get back to answering questions, because only like 2% of you actually care about this. But too bad. It's on my mind, and I'm having fun. So let me know if you can actually hear this now. No, you cannot. Well, never mind. I guess we will forget about that. And I'll go back to watching a rocket. And we'll listen. Actually, wait. You totally lost desktop audio. What the... What is going on? What just happened? This might be an issue. Give me 1 second. They're talking about stuff. You're not really missing a ton. Why is it doing that?
NASA. We are so honored to have you here with us.
Can you guys hear this? Or are you guys just hearing it on like... Yeah, I don't think you can't hear it. No, you really can't. You're hearing, if anything, you're hearing tiny bits of it through this mic. You're not hearing the desktop audio. What happened? Why did this all of a sudden just be like, hey, you know what? Screw you. We don't want you to learn anything. That's weird. I've never had this happen. Yeah, but I think the reason you heard it is you heard it through the microphone. You're not hearing it. 1 second. This might be a restart OBS situation if I can't get this one figured out. Why does that stuff happen? Why does this stuff always happen to me? Yeah, it wasn't through the microphone. Well, let me double check like 2 things. I'll go full volume here, make sure you're there. Okay. I'm going to mute the microphone and you tell me if you can hear it. Here we go. 3, 2. That's what I thought. Nothing. What happened? Oh, guys, I'm sorry about this. I hate this kind of stuff. This is why we don't try to have fun on air, because then things happen like this. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Hang on.
Up and ready to go and safely out to Mars. And those early activities are really critical for us.
Certainly. So for people who don't know, tell me a little bit more about the heliophysics tied in to ESCAPADE.
Yeah, so, you know, when we go out to Mars, right, we're looking at how space weather, how the solar wind, how these coronal mass ejections and flares impact the Martian atmosphere, how they impact Mars as a system, how they impact and change how, you know, atmospheric escape happens at Mars.
Because Mars doesn't have the same atmosphere that we do here on Earth, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's always been a big question, right? When I look at the difference between our beautiful planet here on Earth and the water and the oceans and other things, why is Mars so different, right? There's a great question that relates to how Mars's atmosphere has escaped over the years, over the decades, over the millennia. And ESCAPADE's actually going to deliver to us a better understanding of whether the atmospheric escape changes in time or changes in space, right? And so getting that feeling and getting that understanding will let us figure out how Mars has changed over its history and be able to conserve and understand how that applies to us here at Earth.
And for the first time, we have a lot of firsts, actually. So we have 2 satellites that are deploying that are going to give us information. And on top of that, this is the first time we are deploying not during the critical Mars window. We're actually going to go into kind of this, like, lollygagging phase just for a little bit until we hit that window. Can you kind of explain that?
So isn't that amazing?
I'm actively losing watchers. All right, let's answer a few more questions then, because we actually were able to see some of this the other day. So this is, I had the same question from Treetop. Why did the mission control call TLI for a Mars mission? Isn't TLI translunar injection? Yes, TLI typically stands for translunar injection. I'm sure they were not meaning, I'm sure their version of TLI is maybe something to do with like the transporter or some other system that they just acronymed TLI, which is very confusing. I am guessing I'm guessing that's not the case. I don't think they were meaning go for TLI. So, Wigwam54, is New Glenn a Falcon 9 competitor? It's more like a Falcon Heavy competitor. It's more capable in all ways than Falcon 9. It's much larger than Falcon 9. And in most ways, it's more performing than a Falcon Heavy even. So especially in reusability mode, if you're reusing the boosters, it has more performance than Falcon Heavy. So it's massive. Let's see, are they parking it out near James Webb or in L4, L5? They're going to L2 if I remember right. And where's James Webb? Is James Webb Telescope parked? It is parked in, it's in L2, which I think is where these are going too. But that's a large region. Like L2 isn't like a specific little tiny point. It's a general region where the pull from Earth's, gravitational influence is equal to the pull of the sun's gravitational influence. So you can actually just kind of stay in that general area. It's not like there's probably still, I don't know how large that area is exactly. I'm sure it's kind of a gradient of like right in the center is probably the most stable. But I'm not sure. I probably shouldn't speak too much on the orbital mechanics of this to know how far and how many spacecraft can you have loitering in L2? Is it like the size of the moon, or is it the size of, even if it's like the size of a state or something, that's still going to be a lot of, a lot of room to work with there. So let's see. Let us answer more questions, including $5 from Turd Ferguson Jr. Thank you so much, Turd Ferguson Jr. Greatly appreciate that. This is from Mr. Cobra 83. Once you see a Starship launch, the rest are just mediocre to me now. I get that sentiment. It is really hard to beat the viewing experience of a Starship launch. And then, of course, like, they kind of spoiled it for everything, because Starship launch on its own is already crazy because it's so big and heavy. Then the fact that the general public can be like 5 miles away or 8 kilometers away is another spoiling point. Now, as if all that stuff wasn't bad enough, they also, you know, they catch the booster, so you're just like, oh, and like, it does, I had to say, it kind of, not to put anything against this, because we need this competition, we need to have other opportunities, but it's hard to beat the world's most powerful rocket being caught by a launch tower. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's just so ridiculous. But this is great, because I want to see more vehicles flying. I want to see more competitive vehicles flying. You know, this is, like I said, it's not like they're just trying to kind of, you know, compete with the Falcon 9 and not trying to compete with the Falcon 9 8 years ago. They're trying to compete beyond Falcon Heavy even. So I think they're placed nicely in the market for, especially if there is a future Earth Moon, you know, colony type of thing, and if there's people, a lot of mass needing to be sent out to the moon and back, it's a good vehicle for that. Thank you so much, Rush V. You're welcome for bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. I appreciate you watching. Pizzic Speth, I'm happy for the hold. Just noticed this was on. That's awesome. Thank you for your 53 months of membership. You are amazing. Seriously, that's very, I really appreciate that. From Saxu Duque, just joined in. Why are they sending a vehicle up to Mars at this time when the launch window isn't optimal for Mars mission? Because it's basically they're more worried about, this was like a really inexpensive ride for NASA. And this is considered a high risk mission in general. Like, it's a low cost, high risk, or higher risk. And the vehicles on board, the Rocket Lab, you know, the ESCAPADE payloads have their own propulsion. And so they can actually loiter in this L2 Lagrange point, wait there until Mars is more lined up. And so the vehicle will have done, you know, the vast majority, New Glenn will have done most of the work. And they just have to raise their orbit to get out to Mars and then put themselves into orbit. So it's still like they still have, you know, thousands of meters per second of delta V or whatever it exactly is, but they don't have to do, they have the capability to do that. So why not just launch this vehicle whenever it's, you know, optimal to launch, whenever works best for Blue Origin's schedule to be able to get the next one out there. It kind of makes sense when you think about it in that perspective. From Lambda HD Video, any plans for a video with Stoke in the near future? I don't know. I don't know about those guys. Maybe I already did. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe I've already done exactly that. Daily RPG. Everyday Astronaut, what is the Stoke Space Tour? When is the Stoke Space Tour? In an unrelated topic, when is the Stoke Space Tour dropping? Yeah, see, that's the thing. I may or may not have already done a follow-up, and we're just in the you know, the middle of editing and approvals for that. So hopefully it's launching in December would be, I think, a reasonable time frame. So stay tuned for that, because I absolutely love what that company's working on. This is from official Jay Fendi. So excited for this launch. I actually got a tour of NG2 back in May at Mare Island. So surreal to see it in real life. Love your vids, man. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the super chat as well. Yeah, I'm glad that you've seen it in person, because again, I don't know what it is about this vehicle. It kind of hides its scale until you see the little people out there walking around on this launch platform. I think it's easy to just think this looks, you know, looks Falcon 9-inch. Although you can see in this particular shot, you do see the rungs of the ladder to the left. That helps you give it a pretty decent sense of scale. You can imagine a little tiny person climbing that ladder and how tiny they'd be compared to this massive rocket. It's big. It's a lot bigger than it kind of looks, I think. So, you know, 7 meters wide for the majority of it. The base of it, I think, is a full 9 meters wide, actually. That's the funny thing. The base is down there at the landing gear. That is, I think, the same diameter as Starship, basically. But the whole vehicle's 7 meters wide and 95 meters tall. So it's like 320 feet tall. This thing it's big. It's big. From Paul Pantia 9521, trip to Norway and cover ESAR's second attempt live in winter should be spectacular. It would be. Yeah, I mean, it would be absolutely spectacular. Those are just, I gotta say, I get so worn out trying to do like first launch attempts from companies. It's just really hard. It's really hard to manage that. And especially like an international travel situation, trying to time around that would be very difficult. So I don't really have... Oh, I didn't even notice they went into a hold. Sorry, I've been just blabbing. Let me put this back on stream, back on here. Save changes. 1 second. Save changes. Whoa, hold on. A huge super chat just came through from... Holy crap, from PKP4L. $300. Dude, what? Thank you so much. First off, I want to say thank you. That's insane. Thank you so much. Okay, let me read this. I've wanted to ask you this forever, but why doesn't SpaceX or any other new rocket company launch from a silo with a retractable roof that could handle a return to launch landing without risking damage to launch equipment, if that makes sense? So why don't they launch from a silo with a retractable roof? They'd handle a return to launch landing without... so you're basically saying, like, why not put all of the ground equipment underground, basically, so that if they land back at the launch pad and there's a failure, you don't ruin everything. I think the general consensus is... the more you have things like hidden away, secured underground and stuff, the harder it is to work on. So at some point you have to make the decision. What's going to be worse? If we totally nuke this entire pad and have to rebuild it from scratch, let's say there's and first off, like let's worst case scenario is a booster comes back, it absolutely does not light its engines, and it absolutely wrecks right into the tank farm. Okay, how bad is that, right? Is that a year of rebuild and, we'll say $300 million? I have no idea. Okay, so that's that worst case scenario. Now let's go through what's the negative of having all this stuff kind of underground? Well, I think the answer there is that it's really hard to have to fix stuff and work on stuff. And if there's any problems with the system, which there often are little teething pains, now we have to go like underground. We can't get heavy equipment down there. Oh crap, we realize that, this entire, especially like a pad like SpaceX, where they're constantly tweaking on stuff. Think about how often are people out there working on infrastructure still today, even though they've been flying. It's constant. So you really, eventually, yeah, that might be a consideration. But then you have an issue. A launch silo vehicle typically is, quite small. So, yeah.
Now, we are awaiting the go poll for terminal count. Right now, we're in a hold and we're getting more information. But do stay with us. Keep your eyes on that screen because New Glenn is out on the pad and looking absolutely fantastic.
Dang. Okay. So no new information. But yeah, basically, I think it just is a matter of like pros and cons. And really, is the juice worth the squeeze to put it all underground for the chance that it might not all get blown up? Especially if for the most part, you can get most of the protection done just by having berms and having infrastructure and ground built up between the landing pad and the tanks. I think if a super heavy booster blew up on landing and you might damage the pad and all that stuff a little bit, the tower, but I don't think you'll hopefully damage the tanks and stuff. Let's get back to your questions in general, but again, huge thank you. That is unbelievably generous from PKP4L. Thank you so much. Let's see here. So Laser wants to know how long is the launch window. I actually forgot to double check. The window closes at 9:25 UTC, so that's That's hang on. Let me go with the local time zone. Launch time zone is 4:25, and it's currently, so they have less than an hour left. They have 50 minutes left in this launch window. So that's how much time they have. So we will see. We will see if they can get it out today. I really hope so. From BR Archimedes, due to the size of the audience, I do think they're leaving for another day. Elon will be consulted about it. Yeah, I think we all get pretty fickle when it comes to rockets launching, and especially these days. But those of us that have been around for a while, you know, especially those early Falcon 9 days where they're working on, you know, super chilled propellants, and when they're working on landing the booster, and when they were working on early Starship, the Hopper days, the SN days, there was a lot of waiting and a lot of scrubs. And that's just part of early development of a rocket. And it's just something we have to keep in mind, that everyone goes through these teething pains. No one is immune to it. So this is all part of it. Okay, clock it's not actually restarted. It's held at T-minus 19 minutes and L-minus 19 minutes and 45 seconds. So I will let you know when the clock actually starts moving. I know you guys can't see that right now, but they did remove the little hold, but hopefully that means they will give us a new T0 time. I'll sync the clock as soon as I see it moving. Don't worry. Oh, speaking of, it's moving. Okay, so T-minus 19 minutes from like right. Oh God, this is gonna be hard. This is gonna be at 30 seconds. 19 minutes from 2:35. Okay, would be okay. Oh, that's just gonna be. Here we go. Let me fix that clock. I believe they're going for 45. Wait, I thought it was already at 45. What's that say? Nope. Okay, 55. I mean, there we go. Yeah, 20 minutes. Duh. 18. Oh, I'm pretty close. Hold on. They actually are talking. I'm getting my clock synced. And there we go. Let's listen in.
This vehicle so unique?
Sure. So it's a two-stage vehicle. If you were able to tune in on Sunday, you saw a little bit of this explanation. But basically, when you talk about a two-stage vehicle, all that means, for those of you that are not rocket nerds like us, is that we're just stacking a rocket on top of a rocket. GS1, Glenn Stage 1, is the one on the bottom. It pushes Glenn Stage 2, the rocket on the top. And then on top of Glenn Stage 2, GS2, you see that shroud in there. That's the payload fairing. In the payload fairing today are payloads, NASA's ESCAPADE, the 2 satellites. But what makes this rocket so special? We are going to land the first stage. The first stage is reusable. And what's cool about this first stage in particular is, you know, we've had our New Shepard program, our suborbital program. We've learned so much from that rocket program. And there's actually some interesting similarities between the two, but also some differences. Up here, you see that we've put we call them now the forward fins at the top. Those help with the directional capability. New Shepard also has those. But this one, we also have the strakes. We want to be able to essentially fly this rocket back home and relight the engines. So it's a beautiful rocket. I cannot see it do its thing this first time in just a couple of minutes here.
I know.
Okay,
and
I wanted to let them finish talking, but meanwhile, Hilto 427, what is going on today? Thank you so freaking much. These are huge. You guys don't need to do this. Greatly appreciated, but you do not need to do this. $350 from Hilto. Thank you. You didn't even say anything. So Mods, if Hilto 427 says something and I missed it, let me know. That's ridiculous. Thank you so freaking much. Holy crap. You guys, what are you doing? Thank you. I can't even believe that. That is incredible. I'm genuinely quite speechless at this point. So let's try and answer some questions just so I can speak. This one, I'll answer a free one next so that it'll be on behalf of Hilto. But this one's from Zachary Schaller. Says, difference between Rocket Lab's Electron and Neutron. You couldn't be any more different. Neutron is like Falcon 9 class. Electron's tiny. Electron's a small sat launcher capable of like up to 325 kilograms to low Earth orbit. whereas Neutron's going to be up in the, 8 tons. So we're talking way, 325 kilograms, which was like 8 tons, 10 tons. We're talking way different scale of rocket. Instead of using electric propulsion, electrically driven pumps, they're using closed cycle pumps. And
30 seconds. You are watching NG2 Jacklyn on the pad. The booster so appropriately named. Never tell me the odds. Ariane, and a great day to fly.
A beautiful day to fly.
Okay, they're just talking about how pretty it is. I don't disagree. Let's see here. This question is on behalf. It's from Emmett Roberts, but I'm gonna say this one's also on behalf of our friend Hilto 427. Emmett wants to know that currently SpaceX does have scheduled 2 rockets at 10 p.m. Could they launch at the same time? Do you think they will, if possible? So this one confuses me, and I have not gotten a straight answer if this is technically possible. It makes sense at some point. The only thing that does come into consideration is the tracking assets. There are physical cameras and optics that track every rocket launch, but maybe SpaceX these days has enough data to say, hey, we can safely fly these rockets without optical tracking, or the amount of optical tracking that we have. Maybe they'll split it. Maybe they just say we can do our own to supplement. It's I don't know. And how does that work with just the exclusion zone and range clearances and all that kind of stuff? I don't actually have a good answer on that. And if they do launch 2 rockets at the same time tomorrow, I will be extremely excited, because that would be like the coolest thing ever. So let's see here. So Andrew wants to know, why would they park and wait for the transfer window instead of just waiting? So I think it's because Blue Origin wants to get this particular rocket off the ground. It's still almost like, you can consider it almost like a test flight. This is an ideal mission for them to be able to do a test flight, because it's a tiny payload. It's an itty bitty payload for this rocket. This rocket could take so much more mass. I think the next launch they want to do will have some substantial amount of mass, and they'll want to get those. They'll want to get those on an operational rocket. So this is kind of a good shakedown, like a good happy medium of like, it's still doing some work. It's doing it for really cheap for NASA. They can fly it now. There's no real risk to the spacecraft loitering. I don't know the exact answer, but it's probably a fun little decision-making tree there as well. Let's see. How many bananas? I don't know. I saw my cursor grow. No, this is a Mac OS thing, is the cursor growing. It probably also is a Linux thing. This is from Moreno. This is probably when I was ranting a little bit about the algorithm. Not only has the algo changed, more bots, political negative comments, watched you in the spacesuit days, have been inspired to study engineering, failed some exams, but still going and loving space. Hey, keep up the good work. School is hard, and school does not come easy to a lot of us. Myself very much included in that. So those of you that can, study and work hard and connect those dots, make that stuff work, and then go work and build stuff with your hands and with your eyeballs and brains and computers. Because, it's exciting stuff. And there's genuinely, it's so cool to see a new generation of people that are excited to build spacecraft and build rockets and go explore our solar system. Absolutely incredible. No, my clock is dead on. Someone said my clock is off. My clock is dead on. So thank you. Yeah, the algorithm changing, though, lately on YouTube has been extremely frustrating. They're pushing shorts more than ever. It's like, YouTube, you're doing a thing. And I know that the attention span of people lately is that of a banana. And we just go into doom scrolling mode and just sit there and then watch a bunch of slop. I still believe at some point people are going to actually want to learn something and learn it the right way and learn long form content and slow down a little bit. And I'll be here, and I hope that the algorithm starts to push. That is what I like about Nebula. It's basically the opposite of doom scrolling. Yeah, I do have a UTC world clock on my Apple Watch. I do have that. However, it gets confusing because I saw it to take 24 hours clocking the time, and I just don't know. As a non-American, do you think the government shutdown will affect the Europa Clipper mission? I'm really excited about this mission. I'm really excited about the mission. That was potentially at risk. I think that as of the news today, it sounds like the House and the Senate are working towards reopening the government. So hopefully we don't have to consider those kinds of things anymore. But for a little bit, what was concerning is that the basically the White House budget proposal technically could have been kind of pushed through while the government was shut down, and things could have just been like, oh, done. I think it's going to reopen in time for those kinds of things to not happen. Garrett, screw it, we'll do it live. Yeah, literally me this entire time. I think this is... wait, what do you mean the clock is wrong? No, the clock is right. Dutch Truth, thank you so much. Clock is wrong. It's 3:18 p.m. Eastern or 15:18 Eastern. Oh, wait. Is it just that it says... I don't get why that says it's wrong, because that's just what time it is there. Is that wrong? I don't know. Thank you so much. I don't think I know. I do know. Thank you so much for the membership. Hans Peter Solness. Let's see here. This is... what did you do? This is... Yeah, time is right. Time is right. Okay. I did have to turn it all on back off again. Okay, let's see here. This is a good one from the Tiger Sense. Mr. Everyday Astronaut, in your opinion, what will be the first manned flight of Starship or crewed flight? Return the crew to the tower, or will there be a transfer to a proven return capsule? Obviously, they could not use an ocean touchdown. Well, you wouldn't want to. Yeah, you wouldn't want to do an ocean splashdown of the actual Starship vehicle. I think here's the deal: if Starship gets to the point of being, having the amount of flights as they want to have it, flying a human on it will be no big deal because you'll have the data to back it up. The space shuttle flew without an abort system and without it wasn't a propulsive landing, but it was a one-shot landing like that where you didn't have any other real backups. And you had just a runway to land on. It flew. Yeah, granted, it did have 14 lives were lost on the shuttle, but they did that risk assessment with 135 flights by today's standard now is not a lot. SpaceX is flying more than that every year. So eventually, Starship, if it's flying 100 times a year, certifying for human safety would be pretty easy. And I think the first time humans do fly from launch to landing on Starship, I'll bet it's going to be the full envelope. I bet it's going to be launch and landing without... that's so cool. I want to see all that. I want to see all that in real life. Besides the fact that we're kind of seeing it right now, I think. But I want to see that landing. That's cool. So yeah, we're looking at the things that actually go out and hold on to GS1, the Glenn stage 1, the booster. That's really, yeah, that's cool. All right, so Kenneth Johnson, I found my orange hoodie. Thank you. Thank God, and your audio is fixed. Desktop is a bit louder than previous, but all good. Well, thank you for confirming. Nike wants to know, Nike, when are you going to space? I've said this a few times. I have no real... I would go to space, but it's not my my North Star. It's not I need to go to space or else my life is incomplete. It'd just be a nice little bonus. So we'll see. I don't really know. I'm not too eager to fly on a suborbital flight, to be honest. I would probably prefer just to go orbital if I'm doing something. Let's see here. So, Video Nocturnal wants to know, can you talk about Voyager 1? I saw an article saying it's 1 light day away from Earth. What exactly does that mean, and what sort of data is NASA expecting it to capture? So, they've actually had to shut down a lot of instruments on it. It's well beyond its expected lifespan. But Voyager 1, by one light day away, that means that it takes the radio signals a full day to reach us back here at Earth. So you've heard the term a light year. That's a measure of distance. It's a measure of how far does light travel in 1 year. So I know that seems weird because it's talking about time for a distance, but that's just what it is. So 1 light year, 1 light day away means it's 1/365th of a light year in distance. So it means it's way out there beyond our solar system now. It's officially outside of our solar system. or it reached there's like this LEM where it crossed it a few years ago. I forget what it's called. But yeah, they have a lot of the scientific instruments turned off, just trying to conserve, trying to eke its little lifespan out there. But it's Voyager's just been the coolest set of missions ever, I think. Let's see here. Flow Globe, yeah, I feel like maybe did my assistant not get back to you on that? I think we've talked, and I think she responded. Double check with info with Mary Liz, and I replied to her about that. So maybe, yeah, we'll talk. Turd Ferguson, Tim, did you know that Blue makes your tour with Jeff required reading prior to interviews? I love it since I'd already watched. No, I did not actually know that. I did not know that that's like required for. So that's funny because that's the first time I've heard that about Blue Origin. But I did not realize, like, so at SpaceX, I know people have told me that, they'll show my videos, like the Raptor engine and stuff like that video, to new hires and say, here, watch this, so you can kind of get caught up. And there's like a playlist I've heard even of like, here's the videos you should watch, which is the ultimate compliment. That really is like the absolute ultimate compliment. But I've not heard that about Blue Origin. So, yeah. This is from John Smith. Love your work and passion, Tim. Both the space coverage and music. Your albums are a permanent part of my work rotation. Looking forward to the new album and the Stoic Space Tour. Hey, thank you. There's going to be, we have so many videos. I know I always say this, but like some videos just take forever. While I'm working on a longer form video, we have a ton of smaller videos that we're in the middle of editing that we'll hopefully just be able to get out, a handful here before the end of the year, which I'm really excited for. So, and music will be coming out too, and I have a lot of cool things planned for that, including performing it live. I can't wait. It's a very different sounding album. It's a lot heavier at times and a lot more full and like real because it's all real instruments and stuff. Oh yes. Let's go. We're in terminal count.
Terminal count system is active. From here on out, the vehicle is running fully autonomously on software.
Disengaged. T-minus 330. Okay. Rapid retract armed. Magic charge initiated.
How exciting here. We're ticking down. In 3 minutes, we're going to launch this vehicle to space. We're going to put 2 satellites on their way to Mars, and we're going to try to land that booster for the first time. So exciting, and a big props to our launch control team that has managed to do a recycle on this vehicle. We want to fly today, Tabitha.
Oh, there are the cheers. Yes, the energy is palpable. Our launch director, Megan Lewis, she's in the control room now. I know this is an exciting moment from her. There we have employees from all across the United States. This is Huntsville, Alabama. Big shout out to our teams there. And of course,
GS1 pre-press
HQ,
start.
Kent Washington, we see you.
Washington.
So what did they get to before?
All right, rocket going through its last motions here, making sure the tanks are pressurized to their proper flight levels.
That's right.
A warm day in Florida, but that rocket is super cold with its chilled propellants. T-minus 2 minutes to go. LNG on the first stage, liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen on the second stage. New Glenn looking beautiful.
See,
and there you go.
Beachgoers with a great view.
What makes this place so special?
Beach. So I've said a few times, like, this will be the best rocket to see on the Cape for any time in the near future because it's just right there. Like, you can see it, the most obvious vehicle when you're staring up north, and it's the closest pad too. So here we go. I'm gonna listen in.
We are getting close. Aria, hold my hand. I'm getting really excited. There are those BE4s, 7 of them, ready to take New Glenn.
3.85 million pounds of thrust combined.
T-minus 60 seconds.
in just 60
Range
seconds
green,
here, as
AFSS
mentioned
flight
before.
enabled.
We will light 4 of the engines, then 3 of the engines, just about a second or 2 off for a staggered start. You'll see the big water deluge, and that's when you know that it's game on.
I love hearing all those sounds.
You hear the power up.
You certainly do.
And with that,
you'll see that water any second now.
Let's turn it over to launch control. Let's go, New Glenn.
GS1 hydraulics internal.
Never tell me the
GS1 at flight
odds.
level. GS2 at flight level.
I'm nervous. Okay.
Autopilot enabled.
Holy crap. Okay.
Minus 10.
They're going for
9.
it.
8.
They're going for it. Let's
7,
go.
6,
Go Blue Origin. Go Rocket Lab. Go NASA. Go ESCAPADE.
2, 1. Liftoff detected. First motion. New Glenn has cleared the tower.
Pushing 7 good engines. 30 seconds into flight. Engine operating parameters continue to look good at full thrust. Body rate response to normal. 40 seconds in. End of roll strakes now level. 50 seconds into flight. Continue to see good engine operating parameters. All set for
A clean burn. We're coming up here on max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. This is the hardest point on the vehicle when it comes to the pressures and the speed. We want to see this rocket punch through that max Q. Let's
good
stand by.
TDC control, good MR control. 1 minute, 15 seconds in. Now passing Mach 1, New Glenn is now supersonic.
Supersonic!
And we can hear the
1 minute, 30
here.
seconds. Engine operating parameters continue to look good at full thrust. Max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. 1 minute, 45 seconds in. All 7 V4 engines continue to look good. Body rate phenomenal. Seeing good control on MR and TDC. Acceleration profile phenomenal.
That one's a little more focused.
Now passing 2 minutes into flight.
BE4 is unreal.
1 minute remaining in boost phase.
All right, 1 minute remaining in boost phase. You heard our team say. Then we'll hit MECO, main engine cutoff. That's going to lead to a sequence of events. We will separate the first stage from the second, and that's when the first stage is going to begin its journey back home. We're going to see if we can land the booster separately. Of course, we will get the second stage off and going with the NASA ESCAPADE satellites on board on their way to Mars.
Trajectory continues to look good, seeing good data quality.
By the way, I think the reason the cameras are out of focus is
great to hear that good data quality.
All the pads,
7 engines
looking nominal.
So they're
next up, MECO, which is main engine cutoff.
The presets don't really work yet. You gotta get those dialed in for this particular.
The cheers are real. You can hear them all the way in here.
And we have MECO.
And we have MECO.
And we have good stage set.
Good stage set.
We
That's
have
good to
good
hear.
stage separation.
Little latency in the video.
And we have ignition on stage 2. Both engine parameters look good.
That's cool.
Oh, you see
Now
the
we're
two
talking.
rockets
Body rate stamping out nicely.
It's flipping. Why is it flipping? Is that the booster flipping?
Both B3U engines look good at high thrust set point. Body rate responses look good. 3 minutes, 43 seconds into flight.
Look at that view.
I think we're okay.
We have good indication of payload fairing jettison.
Fairing jettison, okay.
Both BE3U engines continue to look good. Body rate response phenomenal. Seeing good data coming down from both stages.
Great data. We're 4 minutes into NG2.
Was that the booster flipping
And you
around?
saw the spectacular view
look good.
down from our
Responses continue to look
GS2.
good.
You see
This is a 9.5 minute burn for GS2. 4 minutes 25 seconds into flight.
There's the booster.
Wow. All right, at 9 minutes is when we're expecting the first stage to touch down on Jacklyn.
Approximately 2 minutes remaining in the GS1 coast.
Little confused it.
Thank you again, everybody, for joining us for NG2. So far, a nominal mission.
GS2 is now
Our second
320
mission of
kilometers
NG2.
downrange, traveling at 2.8 kilometers per second. Trajectory
We had
continues
a
to look
clean
good on
ascent
both
burn,
stages,
clean separation, clean fairing
right down the middle of the range
jettison.
track. Engine operating parameters on GS2 look good.
Okay, everything's good.
It sounds like our
15 seconds into
GS2
flight.
is having a beautiful ride. The NASA ESCAPADE satellites are
GS1 has
exposed
reached
to
apogee, now
space
entering
right
the
now.
descent phase.
And we've got GS1 coming
E3Us
down
continue
for
to look
landing
good. GS2 body
at
rate's
T
phenomenal.
plus 9 minutes.
The pulses of cold gas thrusters. I hope they have a camera on the booster stage too. I would love to see
1
that.
minute remaining in the GS1 coast.
This is a heck of a tracking shot because this is flying away from the coast.
Continue to see good data coming down from both GS1 and GS2. Body rates on both stages look good. The E3U engines look good.
Sick. Okay.
Everything looking good, looking nominal.
Seeing good TVC
And
and
Ari,
MR
on this
control
moment
on
coming up
GS2.
is an important one.
Trajectory
It is.
continues
We're
to look
going
good.
to
Towards. I'm a little confused.
We're going to relight the BE4 engines for the reentry
Body rate's
burn.
nulling out on GS1. The exo turn is complete.
There you go. It's about 300,000 feet, less than 100
6 minutes,
kilometers
30
up
seconds
there,
into
coming
flight.
in for a landing on the Jacklyn, 375 miles offshore, waiting for the first time
So last
to
time this is where it
land
failed.
And
Blue
standing by for
Origin's
GS1
new blend
ignition
booster
shortly.
on the Jacklyn.
This does look like it's coming towards us. So this is a tracking camera out there. How do they have this? Might be airborne. This might be an airborne asset because it's definitely getting closer. Look at that. You can see the resolution.
Continue to see body rates on GS1.
Ignition. Yes.
That's great. We have our booster reentry burn.
Yes. Oh, that's a sick shot.
All 3 engines.
That is beautiful.
No matter what happens next, we have had a good day. This is further than we made it on NG1.
That's right.
See indication of engine ignition on GS1.
Look at that.
Continue to see good data from
Love
GS1.
that. I've never seen a video like this.
About a minute and a
GS2
half.
engine
Good
parameters
clean
look good.
shutdown. Here we
Is
go.
when
Let's
we
go,
see-
Blue.
Confirm engine cutoff
Never
on
tell me
GS1.
the odds.
Now it's
Return
gliding. You can see how horizontal
to
it is.
Earth.
It has those big strakes up front to help it extend.
You
its
see it in
vibrating.
a
20 seconds
horizontal
into flight.
position. We've got the strakes
This
on the
thing's
base
just
of the
flying.
booster, which give it lift. So we
Right.
can basically fly this booster. Of course, we're using the forward fins
This
as
shot
well,
is
plus some of our
unbelievable.
reaction control system to, as well as the gimbling
GS1
on the
now passes
BE4
30% max
engines
Q.
to
Passing
turn
8 minutes
the rocket
into flight.
accordingly. On here, it starts to tilt
GS1
down.
now halfway
1
in its
minute to
planned
go.
burn. GS1 system,
Less than
GS2 systems
40,000
continue to
feet.
look
Shot
good.
is incredible. A continuous shot like this. Are you
GS2
kidding
throttle
me?
down complete. Responses look good.
Here I was sad they weren't going to have onboards. This is way better than an onboard. Are you kidding?
8 minutes, 20 seconds into flight.
Transonic.
Record landing burn ignition. And we have landing burn ignition. See 3 good engines.
We've got our booster landing burn.
Let's go.
Engine control looks good.
Of course those clouds are there.
8 minutes, 43 seconds.
Let's go on board.
Legs deployed.
So ship hopefully is off the right, scooting up.
Great shot from our booster.
Standing by for touchdown.
Holy crap, man, they got a drone shot. Oh! Oh, that was sick!
GS2 continuing through its turn system looks good.
Let's go! Are you kidding me? Whoa! They have like explosive charges, just nail it into the deck or something?
GS2 systems continue to operate well as it's continuing to its planned burn. Good. And good MR. Right down the middle of the range. 10 minutes, 15 seconds.
Yeah. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about.
Congratulations, Team Blue. You did it.
Now passing 10 minutes, 40 seconds into flight. GS2 trajectory continues to look good. And body rate's phenomenal. Tank pressures look good. Engine operating parameters look good. GS2 is now 1,600 kilometers downrange, traveling at 5.9 kilometers per second.
On the right-hand side, GS2. On the left-hand side, you have our booster, our
Less
new
than
Glenn
2 minutes
booster.
now remaining to
Never
Pico.
tell me the odds. Right there on the Jacklyn in the middle of that feather. Absolutely incredible. Congratulations, guys.
A landed orbital rocket. What an incredible
What a day
for Blue Origin.
Oh, the doors
For
closing.
the space industry.
GS2 systems continue to look good through its burn.
This is good, my friends. This is good. This is awesome.
I'm speechless, which is rare for me.
Approximately 1 minute remaining in the burn.
Yeah, this is
GS2 continues.
Of course, on a nominal path.
On a nominal path. I need a second to catch my breath.
GS2 body rates remain stable.
I think I heard my hand banging on the table too much. This is
Control on
incredible.
TVC and MR. Tank pressures are nominal. Throttle pressures are stable.
Oh, I'm getting word they're going to replay the landing. That's something so good, you got to watch it twice. Give it back to us.
And 12 minutes, 30 seconds in the flight.
Look at that.
I think my favorite thing is that it like nails itself down.
Beautiful.
Like tackling itself or something instantly.
Landing.
Perfect.
Of
It could literally be
the
like
first stage of New Glenn with the one central BE4. Let's wait here for our second stage. It's going to cut off its engine. It's done its first burn.
And we have SECO, GS2 engine cutoff.
SECO 1.
Yeah.
SECO 1 is confirmed. GS2 right down the track.
Damping out nice.
Currently in the coast phase.
We have one for two so far on our two objectives for our second mission of New Glenn. We have landed the booster for the first time ever. And next up, in about 20 minutes here, we are going to separate the blue and gold satellites of NASA's ESCAPADE mission. Of course, the most important thing of any launch is making sure you get your payloads where they need to go.
And there's our team in Ken. Hey, guys. That's right. Oh, I see the celebration.
Huntsville, thank you. Thank you for those beautiful engines.
GS2 systems are operating nominally as the vehicle is in its first
We love you too, Huntsville.
not gonna lie, this is just too much crowd for me. It's like we have had crowd for the last 20 minutes. It just feels unnatural. Like, it's sport to hear crowds for like 10, 15 seconds, 20 seconds tops, and like we've just had screaming for 15 minutes now. I mean, congratulations. I don't want to take away from them. I'm not going to tell them to stop celebrating. I just switched the webcast and have it piped in the entire time is all. But I mean, it is absolutely incredible, by the way. We should all ignore this for 1 second and just send one more congratulations. I hope we get a little more of the stream, though, to learn how the coast phase goes and all that stuff, because they still will have to relight the engines on the upper stage. And that's still a pretty big deal. That booster landing, while we're waiting for that, should we just rewatch that booster landing? Because that was honestly, this whole thing, I need to point out that as it was about now that I realized, I'm like, this thing's actually flying towards the camera. Look at this plume interaction at the front, the bow shock basically of the plume interaction. There was an old video from SpaceX when they were trying to land a booster that was showing this plume interaction, and it was like a thermal camera, but I haven't really seen anything like this since then. And the fact that we just got this live in real time is incredible. And you can watch as it's slowing down and getting deeper into the atmosphere. You can see that plume changing and moving. And then from this point on, this is where it's quite different from, this is closer to what Starship does. Starship does quite a bit of a glide. It uses those strakes, or in the case of the chines for Starship, to help move it sideways as much as you can. The more you can go sideways, and basically you let the air do more work. The atmosphere can do more work the more sideways you are, because not only the gravitational effect, obviously this vehicle's trying to fall, right? It has a velocity, and they're trying to slow it down. So if you did belly flop it, that's what SpaceX ended up doing with the upper stage, is they belly flop it. So this is kind of a mix between the booster of Starship and the upper stage of Starship. It's gliding. They're trying to extend that glide range as much as possible to get as much velocity scrubbed out of it. And then they end up doing this landing burn here pretty slow. I mean, they were down to like, what was it, 800 miles an hour or something when they lit the engines? 700. And I think it's like, yeah, it's subsonic when it lights the engines. 600 miles an hour. Yeah, okay, so about 550 miles an hour is when it lights. So that's 800 kilometers an hour is when it's lighting those three engines. It's only lighting the three that have gimbals. So the three that can steer. This was an huge shot. Like, shout out to the live stream team for their first time having to do this. You can see the landing legs deploying there. That is the coolest shot ever. And then this shot, I was nervous when we were seeing the water. I knew it was going to straight come in from the side. Like, it was going to offset it and then come over and hang. And then the fact this 360-degree camera got this shot and it was buffering then. And then that we did get this shot live was unbelievable. But I got to see these explosive bolts. Sorry, you're probably still even hearing a little bit of that was unbelievable. I'm very, very impressed. Okay, so watch. So watch here. After it lands, it sets off these explosive charges. And I don't know if those are like like if they're there on the feet. That is so cool. I'm sure that's just to secure itself down to the deck. That's really cool. Okay, that was worth the wait. That was very worth the wait. Let's go back to live broadcast. How many minutes? I just missed it. How many minutes remaining in the coast?
Remaining in the coast.
Only 6.5 minutes remaining in the coast. Perfect.
And continue to see good data coming down from the vehicle. Trajectory is nominal.
That is so cool. This is awesome. I'll answer some questions here while we're waiting. About 5 or 6 minutes now. This is from watching from the engine factory again. Awesome. Good to hear from you, Gank. Rocking my Apollo hoodie this time. If you are checking reactions. We need to see if we can see you in there with your Apollo hoodie. Okay, I'll pay attention when we go back and look at that. That is awesome. I will look for you, Dank Gang. Thank you so much for saying hi and for hanging out. Let's see. Neek, is there more space stuff to explore in the area of Austin in January, considering flying over from Helsinki? Oh, that's amazing. So nothing official yet. I don't want to totally say this without it being true, but there might be an opportunity, major might. But we have been talking with Firefly about hosting a tour for some of the speakers and maybe perhaps for the Apogee ticket holders. I don't know how that'd work though with foreign nationals, so stand by for that. The other thing is we might have friends that are trying to organize a tour to go from Austin down to Starbase. So if you're traveling from outside of the US and you want to get like the ultimate space thing, yeah, that'd be a cool thing, like for people to organize, even like sharing a tour bus to be able to go from Austin to Starbase to Houston and, you know, be able to go see Johnson Space Center as well. But nothing official on that yet. We did have Anthony from Rocket Range talk about that last year. I don't know where he's at with that. It's getting a little close to the line now of trying to do that this year. Thank you so much for the emote. Let's see here from Ben Weiss 73. Hey Tim, loved your latest video. This is the one about the range. Will upcoming Starship orbital reentry RTLS be handled by the range or RTLS managed by a different team? The RTLS return to launch site landings are still managed by the range. So the range still has to do all the tracking. But the good thing is it's the same exclusion zones as launch or similar, and the same considerations there as far as keeping personnel safe. So there's not a ton of stuff there that's like that doesn't cross over from launch to landing. Thank you too so much for you. I appreciate that. And Sam Comboy 459. I got to see the upper fin section of that rocket roll past the Kennedy. That's awesome in July. That's very cool. Those fin sections are incredible. Anti-doom scroller content lover. Well, awesome. I appreciate that, Fosbear. We might need to start a new community of anti-doom scrollers. So just a reminder, guys, we are still waiting for the upper stage to finish its coast phase, and it will relight its engines again, and we'll fire that back up and hopefully see the ESCAPADE payload separate, but I'm not sure what all they'll show us. Greetings from Germany. 74 months from Rainier Zufall. Thank you. 74 months. That's incredible. Thank you so much. The government is open as of last night. Okay, I didn't know if that was official then, so that's awesome. Shout out Hawthorne Starship Components Machining Team. Go Starship. Wrong stream this time. No, just kidding. Go everybody. Go Team Space. But today was an incredible day. That is the biggest rocket to ever land on a drone ship. That's for sure. That is way bigger than Falcon 9. I mean, I still can't believe it. So hold on. They're not. I don't know what exactly they're reacting to. They're still reacting. If you could bring back into service one retired or canceled launch vehicle, what would it be and why? It'd be the Baran. I'd want to see Baran fly with that like fully reusable system they eventually developed.
Shannon Curry, the booster there though on the pad. It is a moment we are still kind of taking in and processing. Ariane, you and I
buzzing.
I'm excited.
Speechless. I am trembling. My jaw is still on the desk here. An incredible day. The star there.
Right.
The second booster of New Glenn. The stars, all more than 10,000 employees here at Blue Origin. If you guys aren't as in shock as I am, this team has done an incredible job.
Absolutely.
In the years, in the months.
Cool. Okay, nothing yet. I'll wait when we get closer to Seco 2. Again, huge congratulations, but I want to answer your guys' questions. Heavy, I hear. We talking about back to, I think, my music. Metal adjacent. I am a metalhead at heart, but it's still all instrumental and stuff like that, and I want it to be kind of chill, but there's definitely some higher energy moments. Flying Underwear, thank you so much for the dollar there. Oh, this is cool. DV watched it from the Florida Turnpike. That's awesome. Dave McKeegan, how much do you want a tracking plane for the next Starship coverage? After seeing that tracking shot, yeah, that was incredible. That was absolutely incredible. Let's see, Zach Berry, the people using this to put down SpaceX are ridiculous. Lol. Of course, it took SpaceX longer. That's how progress works. Team Space. That doesn't sound right to me. yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The end result is what matters for each company and for each program. Timelines are relative. You know, in a way, obviously, SpaceX built a Falcon 9 in like no time, and then just continued to iterate and evolve. You know, we're coming up on 9 years since the Falcon 9 first landed. So in some ways, you know, that's way ahead. You can look at the Falcon 9 as being a huge, massive success story. Now people might be saying, oh, look, they did it in SpaceX. They still can't get to orbit. SpaceX hasn't been trying to get to orbit yet. Different companies, different philosophies, different goals. Why do we have to always compare the two? Why can't we just be excited when cool stuff happens? That's my mantra. This is good engineering. Nailed it from the first flight. No, second flight. Second flight. No hype, no stupid rapid iteration, and billions wasted money. Hey, you were close, but you forgot. This is the second flight. First flight did not have a successful landing. So, and they didn't quite have a fully, it also took them like 17 years or whatever it is. So there's pros and cons. We don't have to put down another person just because the one person did something different. Like, we don't have to do that. We don't have to say, haha, see, it's the best way. It's like, it's just a way, and they accomplished an awesome thing. And why do we have to always compare? Chris Gonzalez, thanks for the live. Does this threaten SpaceX at all or push them to come up with more innovation? Oh, I think it more pushes SpaceX to have to be more cost competitive. SpaceX still has a huge monopoly in the launch market industry, basically, with anything medium class. I mean, the Falcon 9 is just unmatched. But once this thing starts flying regularly and can actually, you know, put that pressure on and start taking contracts and undercutting SpaceX right now, yeah, then that's just all good for everybody. That's just all good for everybody. I don't get this. What is happening with New Glenn failings? Did you mean fairings? If you meant failings, I don't know, because so far it's been picture perfect. Fairings, they're just falling back to Earth. I don't think there's plans to recover the fairings. Let's listen in for the...
When we bring her back into port in just a couple of days, bring her back to our integration facility and get a look at this beautiful rocket. What a day.
And as we take a look at GS2, right now we are approaching SECO 2, which is second engine cutoff.
And we have SECO. Good
SECO is confirmed. So we have a map for you on your screen, but soon we should be back and able to communicate with our ground stations, and we would have a picture for you. Right now, we are under 10 minutes until we're able to deploy ESCAPADE. And if we do that, I mean, what a birthday gift to Dr. Nikki Fox.
Yes. And two
separation.
So far, I'm so glad we had a shot of our Huntsville, Alabama team. They have built beautiful engines, the 7 BE4 engines that performed so wonderfully on the first stage. And now, as we have heard, the 2 BE3U engines up in space had 2 clean burns, giving the ESCAPADE satellites a wonderful ride to where they need to go, setting them up on their trajectory to make it to Mars.
And you know what? While we wait for this epic moment coming up with ESCAPADE, let's send it back over to Eddie Seifert with our crew here at Rocket Park. Eddie, I know.
All right, let's answer a few more questions, including a huge from Flying Foxtrot. Thank you so much. That is, again, you guys, that's greatly appreciated. Everyone in chat, say thank you, Flying Foxtrot, on behalf of everyone watching. I really appreciate that. Amazing. I will be buying dinner tonight for the guys that are here producing music with me. That's incredible. I really appreciate that. On Lance 444, I'm studying aerospace engineering and planning on going to the Space Force as an officer. I'm excited for moments like this that bring me joy. That's awesome. I mean, seeing how much work the Space Force does behind the scenes that I think goes unnoticed was definitely eye-opening for me. Again, for those that haven't watched my video on the range, may I suggest watching that. You'll learn, I think, a lot of little things that connect dots on how rocket launches work and what kind of happens. You know, that's the stuff that I had a lot of questions on, because I think I have a decent grasp, at least, on some of the engineering concepts, some of the orbital mechanics concepts. But as far as the actual launching, what paperwork and who's in charge of, you know, tracking the rocket and the weather decisions and all those, the exclusion zones, all that stuff, I just didn't have a good grasp on. So watch that video. I promise you'll learn something. From Tony, hi, Soph. That was great. Keep up the great coverage. Not sure who Soph is, but thank you very much. And thank you so much for your donation. From Lodger Louie, thank you so much. Again, another $100 super chat. You guys are crazy today. Thank you. Greatly appreciate that. They're sending two orbital Mars orbiters. So they're basically sending two probes to study the magnetosphere and the atmosphere of Mars. So it's they're a relatively small spacecraft based on Rocket Lab's Photon system. So a really cool satellite bus already that's outfitted with scientific instruments to go to Mars and to be able to stay in Mars's orbit. So I should point out, by the way, everyone right now looking, you'll see that the stage 2 velocity is going down. You might go, oh, what's happening? Why is it slowing down? It's not actually slowing down. It's just that it's in orbit and the orbit is raising. So if you have played Kerbal Space Program before, you know that if you have an orbit and let's say it's a circle, if you want to raise your orbit, you have to speed up here, and then actually your orbit's going to be slowest at the highest point. So they're sending it out to Lagrange point 2. So it had to raise its orbit beyond the moon, like 4 times further away than the moon is. And so it's going uphill right now, essentially. It's going uphill. It's going higher and higher and higher, and you can see that in the altitude, increasing like crazy, while the velocity is dropping. So it's if it was to stay in that orbit, it'd do the reverse. Once it got past its highest point, the altitude would decrease and the velocity would increase again. That's just how orbital mechanics work. Thank you, John, for becoming a member. And Joshua Likes, thank you so much for the compliment and the super chat. What other questions do you have? So yeah, that is something that I wanted to look at too. I'm asking, did you notice the second stage do an odd flip? I saw that and I was nervous. I thought that looked off nominal, we'll say. I do want to rewatch that real quick, but we got to get back to this. But let's take a look here at this. Because there was what looked like, okay, so that's the 2 stages, the 2 engines. Hang on. Okay, 2 engines. The booster's doing the flip. The booster's in the top. That is what is happening there? That is just a really aggressive pitch up maneuver. Man, that's confusing. And what's that? Does the screen give us? Did that screen give us any extra glimmers of details that we maybe shouldn't have seen? No, not really. Those could be internal cameras. That one's sick. I wish we could see that one. I love when we accidentally see stuff that wasn't supposed to be seen. That flip is confusing. It's very aggressive and appears to be pitching up a lot. I mean, that's almost Starship speed of... But that could just be the trying to fall, like, if it's a shallow trajectory that the... and it is really lumbering at this point. Okay, let's go back to live because I think they're coming up on... Okay. They're about to deploy the payload separation, one of them. So
will hopefully be coming to fruition.
Now coming up on 33 minutes into flight. We're standing by for spacecraft 1 SEP shortly. Vehicle body rates are remaining stable, leading into the separation event. Standing by for spacecraft SEP. And we have good indication of ESCAPADE Blue spacecraft separation.
We do have payload separation confirmed. Go Blue. Second payload coming up, as we mentioned. Just about a couple of seconds more here.
Standing by for spacecraft 2 SEP.
Oh, beautiful live shot from over 700 miles
gold
in space.
Confirmed.
And gold has separated. Congratulations, ESCAPADE. Both blue and gold have successfully deployed. We have successfully landed the booster, and we have successfully deployed both the blue and gold satellites for ESCAPADE.
2 for 2. There goes our robotic vehicle that is securing the GS1 onto the Jacklyn.
That's right.
Absolutely spectacular. ESCAPADE, you are headed to Mars. And so there you go, our automated robotic vehicle. To be very clear, we didn't clarify this earlier. There are no people on the Jacklyn right now. It's just that robotic vehicle that is going around the rocket, making sure that we definitely
We're safing the vehicle.
We're safing the vehicle and making sure that those landing legs are pegged down. The seas are nice and calm today. It was a rough ride the last couple of days out there. But of course, we want to make sure that our 200-foot tall rocket out there on the Jacklyn is nice and there it goes, is nice and stable. And shortly after, we will of course have the Harvey Stone, which is the boat that has our team out there. They will approach the Jacklyn, and we will put our team up there as well as soon as the rocket is stable, we want to make sure, of course, that it's essentially neutralized, make sure the propellants are nice and stable, if not completely purged from the system, as well as have a stable rocket out there. Safety is number one. But Tabitha, we are 2 for 2 on today's mission, NG2, a historic day for New Glenn and Blue Origin.
I keep telling you, I'm speechless, and I really am. It has been such an epic day. In about, couple of minutes here, also that Viasat demonstrator will turn on. That's an exciting thing. That's a payload kind of hitching a ride with our friends at NASA. And it's just been so great to work with so many customers and to also show the world that, hey, we're here. We're in the game. We have a reusable booster, and this is just the beginning.
No, and we said it on the last webcast. We've got NASA ESCAPADE, but of course there are other organizations, UC Berkeley, Advanced Space,
Rocket Labs
that have been part of that mission. But we've also got Viasat being one of the foremost satellite operators in the world. And these organizations took a chance on us. They did. We get it. It was a new rocket. It had not flown when we signed with them.
Real quick, sorry to interrupt. I see, Falcon Heavy can carry more to space. New Glenn is competing with Falcon 9. Not true. Falcon 9, if fully expended, could do it at theoretical 64 tons almost. That's very hypothetical. I don't think they could actually do that much load through the second stage. Basically, this competes directly with Falcon Heavy, and in some ways it outperforms Falcon Heavy. When Falcon Heavy is doing an RTLS mission, reusing its 2 boosters and expending the middle stage, New Glenn still outperforms it. So keep that in mind. People just need to respect this rocket because it is mighty impressive. And someone asked what Astro Award. David says, what Astro Awards did this just secure? This is going to be up there for, I don't know. I don't know which one it's going to secure. But for those of you that want to vote, why don't you guys consider in person coming to Astro Awards, astroawards.live. Come in person, watch us hand out awards to the people behind the coolest missions of this year. There's going to be panels with people like Scott Manley, Joe Bernard, Zyla Foxland, Eric Berger, John Krause, all sorts of people, Lori Garver, and other special guests that we have yet to announce. And there's going to be music, and there's going to be parties, and there's going to be gatherings and meet and greet opportunities. AstroAwards.live, January 17th and 18th, Austin, Texas. Hopefully, we'll see you guys there. There's, like I said, I think there's 7 or 8 panels this year. Really cool, awesome opportunity to learn. So, get your tickets now, AstroAwards.live. They're still safing. They're just talking about safing it. Meanwhile, Mika says, sick times to be alive. Space era is the best. Space era is best. Go. Yes, it is awesome time to be alive, honestly. And from Kylie Irvine, you nailed it last live stream. I'm all on hashtag Team Space. 100%. Why not be excited about this? This is exciting. This is good. All of this is good. There's nothing to be bitter or, we don't need to be, what's the word that I'm looking for? Tribalistic. It's like, don't let the success of other people and other companies and other programs in any way does not need to hinder your love for something else. For me, I love what I just saw. I thought that was one of the coolest things I've seen. And I've seen a lot of cool things. It doesn't take away from the other cool things that I've seen. The success of this and how awesome this was does not mean that I don't also still love what I've seen and witnessed and have experienced with Starship and Falcon Heavy. And when Rocket Lab launched, it's like, why? We don't have to do this. Just be excited. This is great. This is great news. Saganite from the Mars Society. Awesome. Great to hear from you guys. Thank you so much. On to Mars. Yes, this one's for you, really. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. Last year we had Dr. Zubrin come and talk from the Mars, the founder of the Mars Society. Very passionate human being with a lot of knowledge. So let's see here. Booster needs to reach far offshore to the drone ship, so they use more horizontal velocity in booster, so second stage pitches up for more vertical. Yeah, it was weird. Like I'd have to look into this because normally a second stage will loft like that if they do a lofted trajectory. It'd mean a very heavy upper stage. It could have just been a tuning issue. Like maybe it had a maybe we won't see that again in the future where it does such a drastic pitch like that. But maybe it was just trying to compensate to get back, perfectly on the totally green trajectory. Because, there are going to be bounds of where this rocket's safe to fly on ascent. And let's say the booster was a little shallower, then you can have those rates basically say, hey, get back on track immediately. And, and make these like hard turns. Or you could smooth that out and say, okay, we're going to slowly try to get back on track by pitching up a little bit. And that could be a software tuning thing. So we'll wait to see how future launches go. If that's going to be normal, if that was abnormal, maybe that's what they expected. I don't know. It was unusual, though. Bob says, thank you for the work the EA team does to bring us such great content. Thank you so much. Sean Reynolds, thanks for all you do. We watch all the launches with you. I really appreciate that from Sean, too. So let's see here. These Pepik Sunka Fleck. Well, wait, I'm confused. Are those two payloads that separated the whole cargo? If so, those two burns are all they needed to send them to Mars. Correct. Even if it was a big payload, two burns would be all you need. Actually, technically, you could do it in one upper stage burn if you're in a perfect launch window and you could get all the way on your basically your insertion burn in one shot. You could do it. It rarely would make sense, or with that opportunity, would it be worth mission planning around that? It's just normally easier to basically get your vehicle in orbit and then do your injection burn once you're in orbit. So 2 would normally be all you need, but they're also very small spacecraft as well on this mission. Because again, this was to kind of like test flight 2-ish. You know what I mean? They treated it as an operational flight, and it was a very easy as far as payload goes flight. This is cool. From Linda, your son works for Blue Origin. So awesome to watch your coverage. Well, congrats to your son, and thank you for watching with me. I appreciate that as well. Yeah. Let's see here. Is New Glenn that much more powerful compared to a Falcon 9? Yes. I believe it's, I think, and they're signing off. Let's listen.
More than 10,000 of you here on the desk being able to speak for Team Blue. But if you were inspired, listen, I love a shameless plug, so come here. If you were inspired and energized by what you saw today, because as we said, this is just the beginning, we do really cool stuff here. I mean, look, you can host a webcast, you can launch a rocket, you can build engines. If you want to learn more, go to blueorigin.com/careers, because we would love to have you help us build the road to space. And as you just saw, we're pretty good at it.
We're going to Mars today. We're going to Moon. The Moon is a team. We're also going our own payloads to Mars. You want to build those? You said build the road to space. Come join us. But hey, maybe that's maybe you're not ready for that step. That's okay. You still want to help celebrate this moment. You can get some great launch gear in our Blue Origin shop. Pick up the look at that sweet mission patch to capture today's momentous event. Join us. Visit online, shop.blueorigin.com.
Yeah, real quick, we have to plug this patch. A couple of things to notice. New Glenn's second stage mission, ascending to Mars with ESCAPADE.
We'll answer a few more questions, including thoughts on refurbishment time of booster. More rockets, more better. Absolutely, more rockets, more better. Yeah, refurbishment time, you know, they're hoping to be able to fly these boosters multiple times a year. I'm guessing between the first reuse ever and this next one, it might be a minute. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if this first booster they're ever flown and recovered flies within, you know, within a year would be a pretty good timeline. Yeah, it'd be. I mean, if it happens, okay, they're officially signing.
And to the many people at Blue Origin who have spent years designing this rocket, building this rocket, testing it, getting it ready for today, we want to say thank you to you. We also want to say thank you to the FAA and to the range down here in Florida for supporting us, to the state of Florida, from the governor on down. Thank you. You are part of this team as well. This is going to conclude our second mission for New Glenn. The next era of space flight at Blue Origin is upon us.
It feels so good to say that. Once again, my name is Tabitha Lipkin. For myself, Ariane Cornell, Eddie Seifert, and every single person here at Blue Origin, more than 10,000 employees, we want to say thank you, and we are going to see you on the next launch. Welcome to the next era for Blue Origin. Until next time, stay cool and gradatum ferociter.
Stay classy, San Diego. Oh, maybe they'll actually, I'll keep this on because they might actually do a recut here. They are doing a recut. Let's go. I have it muted because it's playing music, but I'll make the rocket sounds if you need. Basically, I mean, add a sub to that. Give it like a 50 hertz punch, and there you go. So this out of focus thing, that's not a Blue Origin's fault. Those tracking cameras, those ones in particular, where the scopes like that, that is the range. So that actually comes from the eastern range. And like I said, they're aiming these scopes at altitude 36 for the first time in a long time. Like it's, you know, I mean, granted they did one earlier this year, but it was at night. So they typically, you know, pre-focus these things. And for this, they probably didn't know exactly, you know, where the focus was going to be. So hopefully they get more practice in, and it'll end up being just as good as the Falcon 9 launch. It's nice and crispy, but it was definitely out of focus today. But huge congratulations to everyone there at Blue Origin, NASA, to Rocket Lab as well. That was exciting. That was exactly what I want to see. Yeah, so for the 18,000 of you still watching, I'm going to work on signing off here. Again, if you want to support the work I do, you can actually go to a little website called everydayastronaut.com. And today I have this orbital shirt 15% off. It comes in 3 new colors finally. We actually have the new colorways, which I've been secretly wearing for a long time, and new youth tees as well at everydayastronaut.com/shop. Use coupon code LAUNCHDAY to get 15% off. And that's all one word, all lowercase, 15% off using coupon code LAUNCHDAY. This shirt, by the way, has a lot of like nerdy little things. It actually tells you the velocities and the altitudes of low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, geosynchronous orbit. So a lot of the stuff that we actually saw today, yeah, it basically has all those numbers right there for you. So if you want a little cheat code, if you're ever, I don't recommend cheating at school. However, if you did happen to have an orbital mechanics test, you could learn a few of that. You could maybe sneak that in and look down. But yeah, there you go. Everydayastronaut.com/shop. Pick something up for yourself or a loved one. Good holiday gift ideas. Everydayastronaut.com/shop. I think these are sold out. Yeah, we sold out of our Mercury. So sorry, it is too late to get the Mercury rockets, Mercury Atlas, Redstone. But we do have a restock of, besides our like dress shirt, we do have a restock of Falcon 9. So if you did want to get a Falcon 9 model for Christmas or something, or for the holidays, there you go. We also have dress wear as well. So everydayastronaut.com/shop. And also, hopefully, we'll see you guys in person in Austin, Texas, January 17th and 18th for the Astro Awards, where we have an in-person awards show, and it's absolutely incredible. We will have a lot of awesome special guests and speakers and panels and the actual awards ceremony and VIP meet and greets and lots of other cool things. So go over to astrooawards.live right now if you're listening to this. Get yourself a ticket. Get there. Hopefully, we'll see you guys in person. Thank you all so much, and thank you to our mods for doing such a good job of all this stuff as a former Rocket Lab employee. It's incredibly exciting to see the Escapade finally on its way. Congrats to Blue and Rocket Lab. And impactors that welded feet to the deck. That is awesome. I love to hear that. So there we go. Thank you to the mods who gave us the cue, and hopefully you guys got a few of your questions answered. And thank you for all of you who have been watching with me. Stay tuned for a lot of fun little videos that are going to be coming out here by the end of the year, as well as some new music. So with that, we're going to send it off to an old song, Ticker Tape Parade, as the outro. So that's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Goodbye, everybody.